Hello there everyone, thank you so much for watching the DayZ podcast. I want to thank all of our Patreon and YouTube supporters for all of their support. It is really much appreciated. I want to thank Malinar, Ken Brown, Tank Dazza, Shane Murphy, Big Dog, Florida AF and Eric Johnson for our Patreon supporters. Much appreciated and much love to you all. And I also want to give a special thank you to our YouTube members, Jake Zero Cool, OG Bricktop, T-Dog, Stud Muffin, Hannah Epps, Zenith777, You My Size, Andrew Boyd, Michael, Darkwing Tate, DayZ Hub, Marson P2, Matt Z, Raymond Normoyle, King Alabar, and Kenny Baker. You are all absolutely fantastic. You are absolute legends. Thank you so much for providing for the show and supporting us in all of our episodes. We really do appreciate it, and we can't wait to see you on the next show, the DayZ Podcast. Hello everyone, Lad here. This is surreal. Hello. Welcome to episode 103 of the DayZ Podcast. I'm joined by my good friend Dumpgrat and Project Lemons. How are you guys doing?
Well, man, it's good to be here. Finally back after 2 weeks of downtime, but
yeah,
it's gonna be fun.
Yes.
So.
And yourself, Dump? How you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good. Always fun to be on the podcast.
Hell yes. Unfortunately, not too sure what happened to Archie. Most likely something in his private life came up, but that's okay. That's no problem at all. Dumper is here to fill in the gap. I hope everybody that is watching is doing fantastic. I've heard you have had a fantastic month, and I hope you've been enjoying 1.17. As you can tell, I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm looking forward to speaking with all you guys. Got quite a hefty agenda this podcast. We're going to be talking about quite a few different things. And first off is 117. Guys, what do you think about it?
A lot came, man. I'll tell you what, a lot happened. A lot of stuff that people were kind of expecting, but a lot of cool things for sure. You know, it really showed that the team has grown. They've got a lot of people that are working on the project now compared to about a year ago. So,
yeah. Oh God, yeah, definitely. Shit.
Yeah, 100%. So it just shows that there's a lot more coming, and it paves the path for what's possible in the future.
So. Oh, absolutely. I was really happy with this update. But what about yourself, Dom? Because I mean, I know you've been quite busy since 117, haven't you?
Yeah. I'm really happy with this update, and I'll clearly state why. It was one of the best balanced updates between introducing more PvP content as well as more emphasis on survival and adding content into every other asset of the game. So I really like this update because not only do we get more different tripods, we got cooking damage, which, you know, that's another issue for a second. Yeah. But we also got all these other cool things. And then we also got like 2 new weapons and like light a broom on fire. Come on, how cool is that kind of stuff?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, yeah, we kind of knew from our speculation that the CR550 was going to come out, which is absolutely brilliant. Still wondering why they didn't include the 4-round mag. I know people in the podcast Discord were talking about that, so it was a bit weird, but it was a really nice addition. Absolutely love that thing. Checked out the new Niznoi. What do you guys think about that? I thought it was DLJ just amazing. Absolutely, I love that fucking spot. I absolutely love it.
One of the things I really like.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say one of the things I really like about the new Niznoi change is that you almost don't even notice the change in elevation. It's almost like seamlessly made into it, which is really nice because Niznoi used to have kind of a steeper incline off the coast itself, right? You would go up a hill, go down a little bit, then go back up. But now it seems like you go up a hill and then like you gradually go up into the mountains, into that forested area above it now on the west. And I just love that, how like it's almost, if you never knew about it, you would not know Niznoi was any different than the previous patches.
Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. Yes, it's I mean the location itself is more one-to-one with its real life location, which, you know, it's just a really nice touch of detail. But what I really liked is it's the railway part of the town, you know, with the tunnels and well, the bridges, I should say. It was just a really nice touch, and just with that short amount of time, it really does prove that they have the right people for the job doing what they need to do, and they know what they need to do. It just proves it, and it's really, really nice to see.
For sure.
Did you guys manage to check out the new castle on Livonia?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like how they actually implemented a feature for it so they have the helmet spawn at that location only.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a pretty cool idea. I'd like to see if they do this in the future for more locations, so having like location-specific items would be a pretty cool thing, and it would open the path for a lot more kind of like survival or role play type things, and with the lore of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing what direction they go with that's going to be really cool. But both Nizhnoy and the new castle, just the atmosphere in them. That's the big thing I was always concentrating on, because a lot of the older stuff that you see with like the original builds,
Mm-hmm.
some of them look very flat or 2D in a sense, but when you see these newer builds, they kind of have like a depth and an atmosphere, and it feels very 3D, like it's popping out at you. That's one of the
Yeah.
first things that came to my mind when I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Mark's and Archie and I and DLJ as well. We tried to get to the new point of interest, the new castle, and eventually we did get there, and we did find the new helmet, which was actually quite a nice little item to find, and it's not a bad melee weapon from what I saw in Warbo's video. Just to quickly say, is the audio a little bit too quiet for everybody in chat? Just want to make sure. Let us know if it needs to be upped. There is no Twitch channel, Twitch stream for this time. There was some issues with multi-streaming, unfortunately, so we're only doing YouTube for this time. Okay, I will quickly up the Discord. There you go. Okay, that's let us know how it goes. Keep us updated, guys. Want to make sure I get this right for you. But yeah, so there was a bit of an issue with the multi-streaming, so only doing YouTube for now. I'll keep you guys updated in the podcast Discord when the multi-streaming will be back up properly. Sorry about that. But
No, you're fine.
but yeah, no, the point of interest was really, really cool, and what I really liked about it is that it was I feel it was a really good location for expanding the lore that was set up by Scotty last year in the 1.14 update, because it's the same location as, or at least roughly the same location as the Yellow King section in that little teaser. So
It's on the tour map.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I'll just up the
I
audio
think
a little bit more.
I think your stream's audio is low because I'm listening to it now. You're quite quiet.
I'll just up. Okay.
I think your stream's audio is low because
Yeah, sorry about that.
You're quite quiet.
Right. Okay, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Can you tell us my first time? But yeah, so 117. Let's see if I can get the patch notes for you guys. So if anybody, for whatever reason, doesn't know, then we can have a look there and see what is what.
Yeah, amazingly enough, I was not able to visit the castle in Livonia myself. But one thing I love about what they did with making the helmet only spawn there is something that I've been a big proponent of in servers is giving server players a reason to travel the server. Putting everything in, simple locations gives them no reason to walk around, and I love that this update did that with Livonia.
Yeah.
With that helmet.
Well, that's it. It was.
Reason to go visit.
There was definitely a lot more reasons to go in other places, and I was really, really happy with it. So the weapons that were added: CR550 Savannah rifle, the Longhorn pistol, the P1 pistol. That's not too bad. I quite like that gun, but it's no Red 9. The craftable spear, the bone and stone head variant. I know, Dom, you've been talking about your own little spin on that, so I'm excited to see how you go with that. The pitchfork, craftable bone knife, cleaver, meat tenderizer, kitchen timer, craftable fireplace stand. Brooms can be lit and used as a torch, which we've talked about before. Improvised clothes, improvised rope belt, improvised gas mask filter, which I was quite surprised when they teased that first off. But I was really happy when they added the gas mask filters can be refilled. I was really, really happy with that. the sensitivity settings, which I do want to talk about. I've been seeing a few things on the console side about some issues. So Project Lemons, if you're able to elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. um, it was a lot worse when it first released. So what the issue was is when they first released the update, there was an issue. It must have been something with the settings, but when you would try to change the actual camera sensitivity, it wouldn't change and it would stay at one value. So if you had it all the way to the bottom or all the way to the top, it would still stay at the same sensitivity. The only way to fix that was if you plugged in a keyboard and mouse. So a lot of people who play on console don't even have one of those either, so they're usually using the controller. So a lot of people were not too impressed about that. But I believe 4 days ago, 3 days ago, they just released a patch that just fixed it.
Right.
Which completely fixed the issue, and it was very good to see that because we had that problem, and then we had the vehicle issue as well. So
right.
Yeah, so all that's been fixed now, so we can actually sensitivity as it's supposed to be used with the new update. And it's awesome to see the new functionality that we have with like the ADS and the up down movement. It reminds me a lot of Siege, like Rainbow Six Siege, because they have a very in-depth customization when it comes to like aim settings. So good to see that kind of stuff because it gives more flexibility and freedom to the player. And one thing I've noticed that Bohemia is really trying to do now is make the game a lot more inclusive for people and give them more options for what works the best for them in their situation. So
I've kind of noticed that. It was something I noticed in the experimental when it was out, and I think we talked about it in the 102nd episode. Is that the old mechanic of when you double tap Alt and it locks your camera. So you can move your camera without moving your character. I was really glad that they re-added that, and I can only imagine that would be really, really useful for the console folks. How else has 1.17 been received on console? Obviously, apart from the sensitivity issues, it's been generally positive, hasn't it?
Oh, really positive. A lot of stuff has really blown the minds of people on console because it's been kind of dry there, especially considering the fact that we don't have the same stuff with the modding or the custom content with the Steam Workshop, but this brought a lot for the people, and it gave them a new reason to play on official again because so many people play on community on console where official is ultimately pretty phased out, and it's very small in regards to population for some of its servers. So the day that 1.17 dropped, there were so many full and high pop servers on official, and it was really nice to see that. So one other big thing that happened too, one other big thing that happened too that they didn't really touch upon was they added new modding capabilities for console in their temperature. So they've given us a new entry in the gameplay.json file, the CFG gameplay file, and we can actually modify the minimum and maximum temperatures in certain areas across the map now.
Right.
I know we were talking about that yesterday, and just earlier I actually messed around with it, and I set all the temperatures to -100, and I died about 5 minutes into the run on the test server. So.
Jesus Christ, Chinaris got a bit of a fucking bloody hell. But no, but that's really bloody cool. That's absolutely awesome.
And like I was saying to you, it's showing that they're really trying to work hard to give us more flexibility of what we can mod for the game, and it's not going to ever be the true modding that you see on PC where people are adding in custom resources and assets and stuff, but it's giving us more freedom with how we want to tell our story, how we want to build our server for our players. So it's going to be nice to see that. I know a lot of people who have like milsim servers are going to appreciate the fact that they can turn the heat up, because a lot of the people wear like the patrol jackets and the patrol pants, and it doesn't really work too well for that kind of stuff. So
yes. No, well that's it. That's fair enough. What on earth was that in the background?
Roommate, sorry.
Ah, right, okay. I was wondering there. I thought, was that a secret alert boy he set up? What the hell was that? But no, but yeah, I mean, it's really cool that we're seeing stuff for the console side. I mean, obviously, the PC side also gets that, but it's really cool that the console folks, they get more of these capabilities to mess around the servers to make it a little bit more unique, to be more accommodating for especially the PvP servers, which when I've done PvP and I don't wear like the right clothes and that, it gets cold, and your aiming's just
Yeah.
all over the place. It's an absolute piss take. So it's really,
Yeah.
really cool that you're able to up that, and I can only assume that would be really, really helpful for stuff like Winter Chinaris, Cold Chinaris, and stuff like that. So that's really, really dope to hear.
Yeah.
Even on PC, the servers were just, they were popping. They were absolutely popping, and they were that full, and there was like so many queues. They struggled. They absolutely struggled, which is both a good and bad thing. It's really good because it's like a newfound, to me, it's like a newfound appreciation. We've got a lot more people coming in, and it shows the bad side because it's like, yeah, maybe these servers aren't the best kind of best kind of ones, but it was just it was a nice change to see how well the update came around and how positively it's affected the community, and
Really brought everyone together.
yeah, and it was a smooth update as far as I'm aware, compared to 1.16, which the first ability update of every year is always a bit rocky, to say the least. But it was this nice smooth.
They learned a lot. They licked their
Yeah.
wounds from the last update, and they kind of did it a lot better.
Absolutely.
I'm glad they did the
Absolutely.
wipe. That was all appropriate. Like we were saying with Red Falcon on that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Just imagine all the underground bunkers they would have had
Oh.
of people's bases if they were building Nizhna.
Oh yes. Oh Lord. And it was really, really awesome to see as well that DayZ reached a new record. It was fantastic. Let's see if
For
I
sure,
can.
on PC and console as well.
I don't know the console numbers. I never managed to find a solid amount. Did you manage to find one?
So we don't have a specific counter, but I can say for sure that one thing that we usually track to gauge the popularity of games on Xbox specifically is the looking for group posts, because Xbox has a little system in the menu where you can make group posts and looking for group posts together members to play with you. And it's an interesting little system, and usually the popular games will have upwards of like 500 to 1,000, or like the lower games will have like 20. And the day 1.17 dropped, the Xbox version of DayZ, I think, was sitting around 400 to
Right.
500 group posts, and usually they only have about 100. So definitely a big change. And like I was saying before, with the population, it soared on the official servers,
Oh yes.
and there was a lot of people going absolutely nuts about it, and that could be in part because of the wipe as well. So
Do
it
you think?
was
Do you think though that will actually reach that mythical 60K?
be it's chipping away at it, and it's been like that for a while. Like, it goes through periods where it will jump up really high and kind of plateau a little bit and then start to dip down a bit, but progressively we are still going in an upwards trend.
Yes.
So eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed, it will get up to that 60. But I think that at the rate that the developers are releasing updates now and at the quality, it's going to do it really fast, because they're releasing new content fast, good, and they're being a lot more active with the community, and that is in part because recently they had their team grow. They had expansion on that side at Bohemia, so it's just good to see that they're giving the game a lot more love, and I'd
Yes.
imagine a lot of the people and the players are loving that as well. So
I
looking
can
forward to
only
seeing what they have in the
imagine.
future.
Well,
Sure.
hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, what do you think, Dom? Like, do you think we're gonna get that 60K?
Based off the numbers over the past, I would say 2 years, yes.
Mm.
I mean, we're in an upward trend as long as DayZ keeps producing amazing updates, as well as being with Scotty being their social guy, being a lot more, I guess, transparent slash social. I think
Yeah.
we're going to keep going well. Um, I mean, even basic math right now shows within the past 24 hours, we've had over 46,000 people playing, right?
Yeah.
And our all-time high is 58,000. That's like, I think only a 15% drop from the highest peak. So that's definitely better than it was last time when we had our last highest peak.
Yes, and one thing I noticed as well when I was looking, it was like it peaked, and we got that major peak, and then it's kind of, yes, it's dropped a little bit, but it's maintained. It hasn't gone like drastically down. It has stayed at the same main level across the board. So I can only assume, once 118 comes out, that's going to skyrocket again. The sales are going to come back in. People's going to get it at a good deal. And we're going to get more people in the community, which is something that I'm excited for everybody across the board, not only PC, but the console folks. And
yeah, well, it's really cool. Talk about people coming in and stuff. There's a larger international player base than there's ever been before. And it's not necessarily Europe and America anymore. It's Brazil and a lot of other places are rising up in population, which is really cool.
Yeah. It's a very diverse community now, and like even if you just take a look at the DayZ Twitch, like the category, there's tons of people, and I've seen a lot of like Korean Twitch streamers as well start to pick up the game, and it's really cool to see that. And we've just had an influx of so many people coming together and building such an amazing community that it's really awesome to see that this is happening.
Oh yes.
And it just goes to show, like, if this is what's happening right now, imagine where DayZ's going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, Like, there's going to be, if it, like, knock on wood, of course, but if it continues building this amazing community, we could see so much happen,
I bloody well hope so. I really, really do. No, that they've been doing absolutely great, and I know, with the first update, with the alarm clock, it was a bit like, what's the point? Like, what's the idea of this? And with the kitchen timer, if people do use it, it can be used actually properly, especially with the cooking, obviously, because that's what it's intended for. And it is really cool to see the old legacy content come in, because for the PC guys, it's like it's old content coming back that we used to always use, but for the console folks, it is just completely brand new stuff, which is absolutely great. It's really sure, people can have the grievances about the old content being removed for 0.63 and 1.0 and above, but the matter of the fact is that it's completely
coming back.
It's coming back, yeah, and one day we will get our Red 9. We will.
Yeah, and like we were talking about, when they did the engine change from utility to the Infusion hybrid, it broke a lot of the mechanics and the functionality of the game, and because DayZ wasn't always the big team it is now, only had a few people that could only spread themselves so thin. They had to prioritize certain things, and just unfortunately, a lot of the old vehicles or the items or stuff like that just couldn't be worked on or seen through. And that's why if you look at their old, like, 2016 Trello page, there's a lot of stuff just sitting in there building, like, dust. But because they just couldn't do it, if they were to concentrate on doing that stuff, it'd still be, like, backlogged by 3 or 4 updates, and it might not even be playable right now, So they had to focus all their time, their resources, their developers on making the game at least functional after that engine change, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have a game to play on. So
well, that's it. That's exactly right. And in Kobe as well, I do hope that we do see more legacy weapons come back. And yes, I know people are always going about the bows and that, but I do genuinely hope that they do come back. Especially for not only the console folks, but the modding side. It would be really, really cool to have access to those kind of animations and systems, so we can create our own stuff. I know, Dom, in the past you've made your own improvised crossbow, I guess you could say, and having something like the crossbow animations and all that systems in. Oh, that'll be so nice to see. But
what's promising too with that as well is, because they've promised this year that they're focusing more on civilian items, we've already seen with the Savannah rifle that it's not specifically just civilian, like, town items, but it's also civilian, like, hunting items.
Oh, yes.
So we could see a lot more hunting items, hunting weapons, especially considering last update before this, we had, like, the tripwire traps and stuff like that, and there's, like, the hunting, the snare traps. So they're having a bigger emphasis on the survival and the hunting, because a lot of the time you're just scavenging for stuff. You're not really hunting. Like, I don't usually find myself going into the forest trying to hunt. It really comes down to the player as well, because some people try to focus on that and make that their run in the game. Other
Yes.
people are just kind of, they go through towns, they rob people, they mug people, they want that interaction. So it depends on what the player wants to do, and that's the beautiful thing about DayZ, because its whole purpose is for you to build your own story. So I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to, as they saw on the roadmap, adding more environmental items that interact with the map. I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with that, and just gonna be fun to see all this new work being done.
Oh, I mean, definitely, definitely. I do have high hopes. I mean, I'm always going to still be kind of like, not, I guess, not skeptical, but still kind of like reserved for the new content updates. Because yeah, we talk a lot of positivity about DayZ and the team, and we do understand how the development process can be, but at the same time, we've got to hold our reservations, and keep them held to account. Essentially, that's the method, like the methodology and mindset that I have. I mean, you guys are. I would imagine you're different a little bit. What about you? What about you, Dump? I know we've talked about it quite a few times in the past.
I tend to not being a modder for Daisy. I have a lot more appreciation for what effort goes into stuff. At the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I treat it like my brother. Keep him at arm's distance, but if something good happens and they seem to be receptive to us, I'm welcome with open arms, right?
Right.
It's all about not getting your hopes up so high that you feel let down when they don't deliver. It's about being realistic about your expectations.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. And that's the main thing. And this update, we've spoken it quite a bit in length already, but it kind of proves, that the team, they listen. The feedback track and on social media, they listen, and that's always really nice to see. It's such a welcome change to how they used to be after 0.63, which the communication, it wasn't the best. It was, it is what it is.
Yeah, they're really trying now. They're really
Oh
trying to
yes.
show the community that they've stepped up, and they're coming up to play, and they want to dish something out to us that's good, that's presentable, and they want people who may have been a part of the game back in the day
Hmm.
to see it's happening. There's stuff being done, and they're trying to bring that dream that
Hmm.
we saw back in the day with those roadmaps, that 2016 Trello page, where they're trying to show us that there's a future for the game, and there's
Yeah,
more to come soon. So
and it's funny because with 117, there's been new stuff going on in the community, and something I really want to talk about as well is pardon me, the nerves. It's the 0.62 server that was brought out by Dewan. And did you guys play it? I mean, Project Lemons, I'm not too sure because you never really played Legacy, did you?
not too much. I
Hmm.
was did play off and on back in the day, but it was more so during Arma. So there
Right.
was different stuff from when it went from Arma to like the later updates. So I kind of took a bit of a break from it, but I did have a chance to check out the server. Um, Luckily I was using GeForce now, which I know you said we're going to talk about later. So,
Hell yeah.
but I've got to say, it's cool to look at its past. I know for a lot of games, being able to look at what it was before just even solidifies that point even more.
Hmm.
We've done so much, and so much has changed, and not necessarily for the bad, but for the good, in the sense that so much new content. We may have lost stuff from that time, but overall thing is it's growing. It's
Hmm.
becoming better. It's becoming newer, and it's becoming like brand new
Yeah.
IP. Because one thing someone told me back in the day is you can have a rusty car and you can put wax on it and it'll be good, but if you get a new car and you give it a new paint job and you put that wax on it, it'll look even better. And it really looks like they're trying to put that new paint job in the game. They're not just trying to put lipstick on a piece of poo. So I'm
Hey,
really
hey, not wrong with that. Not wrong with that. Oh no, wait, no, 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 no. But
it's good to see that. It's
yeah,
good to
it
see that
is.
they're trying really hard, because they're not just trying to throw us what we want just to shut us up. They're trying to really go above and beyond, make this game full IP and not just some always in development beta sort of
Mm,
thing. So
yes. And what did you think about the release of this 0.62 server dump?
I think it was a good reminder to us nostalgic folks. I also believe it was a great reminder to the people who never played Legacy, who thought Legacy was better, that Legacy had a lot of issues and it had a lot of beauty to it. But like Lemons was saying, I'm glad they're not trying to polish a turd. Um, I really am glad
Yes.
that we got a new engine. We're moving forward. Yes, is the game a little bit more different? Maybe a lot more different. Yes, but I feel the move that they did was the correct one, and that 0.62 may rest its soul. May continue in other forms. Like when I watched you lad and some other people stream it because I didn't actually play on it
Yeah.
because I have nostalgia and that's what I want it to be. Um, I agreed. You know, the birds and all that ambience was amazing, and some of the other mechanics. But I would say almost 85% of Legacy. No, I'm sorry.
No.
Having to
no.
push V to watch my guy literally put his knees up to his head to walk over a fence. No.
Fuck that.
Not
See,
being able to
it's-
rotate items. No.
Oh, mate, that right. that that fucked me over. I completely forgot about that, and it completely messed us up. It was like, oh my god. I see. I enjoyed 0.62. Going back to it, it was really nice to get that feeling back again. You know, the ambience. You know, like talked about the bird sounds, the wind sounds, and just the overall feel. But and yes, going into the modern DayZ, yes, it's kind of lost a part of itself, right? I feel that way, and I'm pretty sure other people do as well. You know, it's lost a part of itself going forward, and it is a shame, but that weekend was a stark reminder. It was like, yes, 0.62 was a good update. There was a lot of stuff to do back then, but it was trash. It was trash. It was terrible comparing to what we've got now, and you know the gun
inclusivity,
well,
the
yeah.
stuff they're doing with that, because the old versions of DayZ always had a stigma back in the day where people would say that you had to type a whole essay just to jump, or do something simple like that.
I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. Yeah. To be fair, all things
like the
considered.
pictures, like the Matrix when they're plugging into the Matrix, and stuff like that. But I feel like there is a true side to that, and they've come a long way to make it easier for the end player who may not have that experience from Arma, because
yeah.
Not everyone who plays this game are hardcore people. There's a lot of casual people, especially now, that play the game, and to just be able to do stuff that would take a lot more work to do before.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good, and it's really good to see that they're trying to break it down for us as well. So,
oh yes, and hello. Speaking about 0.62 and old stuff, hello Vordog, you doing all right?
Doing all right.
Good lad, good lad. Let's see if I can turn you up a little bit for the stream there. Yeah, so I was made aware that you discovered some old unused animations, and I would love for you to showcase them.
I mean, I can.
Do it now.
Let me go ahead and pull up Workbench, I guess. We can
certainly.
share.
So
I don't think I have permission to share screens, but we'll see.
No, well, I can see it. It's all good.
Okay.
So how did you find these animations? I mean, I assume that they were just kind of there just for you to see, but I knew about the old infected slamming themselves against the door, because that was something that they touted way back when. But the inventory one you showed off, that was a genuine surprise to me.
Well, I've kind of known about these for quite a while, and haven't really spoke about them. I did a concept back in 2019 with the inventory one, but it wasn't so great.
Right.
And kind of gave up on it after a while. I just wasn't there in terms of skill at that point. I had a lot to learn, and I've learned a lot since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's been a ridiculous amount. I don't know. Most of the stuff was just me looking around in scripts. I found very interesting looking comment, and I took upon that to follow it down, and just kind of went down a rabbit trail of, there's all these animations just that are in game but never used.
It's so strange. Like, going through all that time and effort to make these animations and end up not including. Do you think they'll ever actually? Do you think they'll ever actually include them? I see Workbench is having an issue as per fucking usual.
Always. We'll see if it's an actual issue or not.
Yes.
To jump in. Like we were talking about Lad. There's a lot that goes on at Bohemia. You know, DayZ isn't just their only project, and we've seen before, we've got a ton of developers that are coming or going or being shifted between different projects. So the old team back in the day, there are so many people who have either left the studio or have shifted to different positions, and they like gone up the food chain. You know, so they had to abandon some of the work that they put into the game, and for some of it at least, there could be these gems that are just hiding out that the new team that are working on it just may not be aware of, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Especially with this inventory animation, because even you, like, didn't even know this was a thing, and it's just goes to show that if we get community attention for it, it could shine a light on it so they could see, oh, wow, this is a thing that we have? What? And it could give them that incentive to maybe pursue something with it, even if it's not actually adding that in. Maybe working on something similar, you know, creating their own assets that are like that, you know, or new revitalized ones.
Right. It would be really, really nice to see if we can get these kind of animations like into vanilla. But I'm not too, at the same time, I'm not too sure. But I think it'll be really, really cool. Is this it?
Yeah. So we're sitting in here. So I'll try to explain how this stuff was found.
Okay, no, go for it.
We can go through some scripts to figure it out. There's also some animation stuff we can go down to.
Yes.
And names.
Yeah, because I've dabbled in a little bit of animations, but nothing to like the extent of what you found here. More so like doing stuff with like weapons and guns and stuff. Which is, you know, pretty basic, all things considered for modding. So I was very, I guess you could say, excited to see something like this come around. And I wonder if there's anything more that they've decided to hide away, like the naughty boys.
I've actually brought this up to let's see if we can find this here. There it is. I've brought this up to CZN, and I asked them if I was to finish something like this, could I present it to BI just to add into vanilla? Because I feel like it's a very massive, game-changing mechanic that would, of course, change interactions as a whole, and just completely change it entirely. And he told me it wasn't up to him to decide. And then he, of course, mentioned Sumrak. So.
Right, of course, yeah. Let's
even go through this a little bit. So, with animations, it's kind of I don't know too much behind this. Mario knows way more behind this than I do.
Yes, yeah.
And I've kind of picked his mind and tried to do the bare minimum of asking him questions because I would like to figure this stuff out because I think it's fun.
Yeah.
But he gave me some tips and pointers on how to do things inside Workbench, and I went ahead and found this animation in game. It's under a player actions animation graph.
Right.
So this gives us information about the type of animation that we're looking for. So this one would be search inventory erect, and it's got an action ID of 21. So we can take that and put it into the game. And of course, stance would be 0, which would be erect.
Yes.
I've already got a player sitting here, ready to do whatever we want with it. Since that animation itself is under an action, we would have to pass that through.
Right.
The
CMD
command action. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll come over to integer value and give it a value of 21, and then tell it to play, which is just a little check mark. It goes through this little animation of searching. It took me a minute to like really decide that if this is going to work or not, because I didn't know at the time that it was going to be like a full additive. So anything like if you're holding a weapon, that is an additive type animation. And if you stack additive animations, they blend together
Yes.
and they just look nice. So you can stick weapons in there. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen that Twitter post. It blew up more than what I was expecting it to do.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it on Twitter, and I think I saw it might have been in the DayZ Modders Discord. I'm not too sure. But it was really cool to see something like this can be found, and even better that it can be implemented. But if it's implemented, won't that cause hello Dab? Won't that cause any further issues with other mods that may have animations included? Because I know there's a bit of a limitation, isn't there, right now?
There is a limitation, but to a certain extent. Since this is already implemented into the player animation graph, I'm not modding anything in terms of animations itself. I'm just taking what's already given with us inside game, and I'm kind of just implementing it behind the game. So any other mods that add animations in that don't directly modify the player stuff, then yes, it'll work just fine. If people add in animations for like chickens, turkeys, or whatever they're happy with, they can do that as their own, as in adding in new types of stuff. I'm not the best, not the best person to ask this type of question.
No, of course.
But I know to a certain extent that this isn't going to mess with any other mods. I'm just taking an action that already exists inside game and then giving it scripted logic.
Essentially switching it on, in layman's terms. That's pretty fucking cool. Not gonna lie.
As simple as it sounds, it's not as simple.
No.
Especially the route I wanted to go down. You can take a very simple route to it, but this is what I did in 2019, and it just didn't work too well. So it caused a lot of desync. But the route I've taken now and where it sits today, it's a lot better. It's not complete, and I've already messed a few things up within this last update for the experimental stuff. So I'm not going to showcase it, but
no, of course.
I've already showcased it in game on Twitter. If you want to check it out there.
Yes, certainly.
Same thing for the zombie animations, though. Those also are already in game, so I don't have to change anything again to add this stuff. But it's a lot more work for me to do than anything else. As you know about Infusion AI, EAI, there's a mod out there that adds bots in the games.
Yes.
And Rowlin and Jacob and I believe Lava have actually worked a lot to expanding and broadening out how those types of command handling is done. And I think I'm going to be using them as homework to implement something like this, to take animations for the zombies currently and give them actions in a way and path graph to you if you're inside a building to really bust down some doors and change gameplay as a whole. Again, because zombies currently, they just stand outside and they wait around.
It's just a bit like too.
They don't seem like a threat to anybody.
Yeah, exactly. They're too easy. Whereas if there's actual animations and a system in play where even if you are inside a building, there's still a genuine threat that you still have to prepare for, which I feel, and I hope other people feel as well, is something that's missing from DayZ, is that level of danger, that from a PvE element at least.
Yeah, for sure. And one thing that a lot of people haven't realized yet too is if they were to add in these animations or like the whole door interaction system, you wouldn't be able to lock zombies into houses anymore. So if you brought zombies into a garage or something, close the door, and you're walking away, oh yeah, I got all those zombies in there, and then you just see them tackle the door open, I would lose it, man. I would be out of there. Leaving the game, closing it on Steam, I'd be gone. It will change a lot, if and this is like speaking loosely, if this ever was pursued at like a development level, it would change everything for a lot of people, and it would become a lot more scarier game, because zombies would be that threat that they are supposed to be. They're these rage-filled, ravenous zombies, like what we had in like the Left 4 Dead franchise.
Yeah. These animations.
It'll be interesting to see what they do with it, because it does, like I was saying to you, remind me a lot of some of the way the zombies interact in Left 4 Dead.
Yeah.
And it would be cool to see if they really honed in on that kind of stuff, because like in Left 4 Dead, there's idle animations for zombies too, where they'll be like hunched over, vomiting on the ground, or they'll be walking around punching other zombies. And it's just cool to see stuff like that playing in the wild because it's not just all one static animation. There's some sort of dynamic sense for it, and it it's that whole thing of expanding the atmosphere of the game as
Yeah.
well. So
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I'm just sitting here and I'm admiring these animations. I'm just still trying to figure out why they were never implemented, because it's you would think that there would at least be one or two or something like that would have been added at this point. Because like I said before, I know that they kind of teased them like years ago. So I wonder why it was never done. Maybe something to do with like, and
just the internals, you know,
Yeah.
if the team changes, different team leads have different ideas. They have different priorities. So what one group may have been focusing on for their time when they were all working on the game, they were moved to a different project and a new team came in. They'll have complete like there'll be a baseline of what they're working on, but there will
Yeah.
be different end goals with that team. So maybe they just didn't think whoever's working on it right now or back when it was out at that time, maybe they just didn't think it was a priority at that time, you know, especially because they've been working on functionality for the game a lot recently. So
Yeah.
not one of those things that's gonna kill the game or make it better or anything, but it's something that would be a good quality of life thing. And unfortunately, a lot of quality of life things will have to kind of wait because they're really, at least now, they're really trying to, with the current team, focus on making the game a more playable state so they can lay the or the foundation and the groundwork
Hmm.
for stuff like this to happen. Because they've said that before, you know, with the past updates, they've said that they're just trying to they're trying to build that foundation. And what I always say to people is, if you build a house off a crappy foundation, it's going to crumble, you know. But
Yes. Easily.
if you go through and you make that, if you lay the new concrete, if you make that good foundation, I'm not really much of a house builder, so I don't know how true this anatomy is, but if you build that foundation, and that house you build will stand there forever. It's not gonna fall in on itself. And that's really
Hmm.
what they're trying to do now, is they're trying to build up that platform so that the game won't fall in on itself, so we don't have like desync issues.
Yeah.
Just imagine that, man. A day when we don't have desync issues.
That'll never fucking happen. Don't get your hopes up.
But it's coming to that point of they're trying to focus really hard right now on building up that future so that even if these guys have to peace out and go and work on a different project or they seek new pastures with a different game, there will be a foundation for the future teams to work on and build off of so that we can see stuff like this in the future. And we can see a lot more stuff like this in the future. So
Yeah.
that's the way I think about it.
It's a pretty interesting. It is a pretty interesting thought, and hopefully in the future we do get to see this kind of stuff implemented properly. But what do you guys think, Dumpgrad and Dab? What do you guys think?
More tweaks.
Dab go there.
More tweaks.
More tweaks.
We need more tweaks,
Yes.
boys.
Simple game tweaks, I think, are probably my favorite kind of mod right now. It's just like if you have a simple idea, like for instance what I was working on the other day, which I'm about to publicize, is when you pick up stackable items from the ground, when you double click on it, it will automatically it will first try to find that stackable item in your inventory, and then it will stack to that first, and then put it in your inventory. Because like stuff like simple things like that are like they're easy. It's okay, not necessarily easy because it did take me like 2 hours, but it ended up being like 5 lines at the end.
Yes.
And it could be like copy pasted into every server like very, very easily.
See that it's oh, I remember that fucking animation. See, it's stuff like that which is like it's the little quality of life adjustments that DayZ kind of needs. It's like, yeah, sure, these big content updates, new weapons, new locations, and they're absolutely great and they're wonderful to see. But to have the little things come in to make the playable experience more better for all sides, it's something that I think needs to get a little bit more focus on. Like you said, it's 5 lines, so it's like, I wonder why it's never been particularly done before. It's incredibly strange, but it's still awesome to see that stuff like that is getting, even on the community side, it's getting made. But Dump, what do you think? You've been a bit quiet, me lad.
I've just been listening and absorbing what he's been doing.
Yeah.
But what's cool about this is, I'm pretty sure you noticed, lad, and so is Incremental Dab, because you guys are fellow modders, is these animations are pretty polished. He was making them move, and they were still doing the animations. It wasn't like a standing animation only, or possible slight crouching animation. Like, they had full movement to them and everything, like running into the door, all that kind of stuff. And that's what's impressing me, is that these are actually fully finished animations. As you will know, lad, I've dabbled into making my own animations and stopped working on it because of Mario's work, waiting for it to be so I can make it so, because right now you can't put in custom animations to players without another mod overriding it, right?
Yeah.
So I was just waiting for that. But like, this is really cool. This is a lot of work. I didn't even know Master Control existed. So it's really cool to see this stuff.
It's where everything runs through the master control. This is where all the, I guess, the sub-state systems go through. You have your vehicle and animations and your regular action, swimming. Everything goes through this. And then you have your sub-graphs for everything else.
Yeah.
Which fall inside the master control. It's just easier for me to use the master control because it doesn't create wonky animations.
That's it. Yeah. And I'd imagine it's more, is it more easier to understand as well?
For me, this isn't really something I use other than something just the view. Because in game, the stuff is already there. It's just understanding what type of action it is, what kind of animation it is, and how to use it. That's just really about it for me. I don't use this stuff. This is beyond me, and ever wanting to get into. All this stuff was mode capped, though. All this stuff was mode capped in the very beginning, whenever they started working on a DayZ as a standalone. So that's why all that stuff's here. They decided that they're gonna go through, do all their animations for, all their mocap data way ahead of time. No matter if it was planned to go in or actually supposed to make it in or not. Yeah, and I'm very grateful for them leaving it in.
Oh, definitely.
It allows us to go through and use it.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, even if there's stuff, because even in game development, there's always going to be content that'll be made and polished up, but it'll never be implemented. So it's good that we have the tools to be able to implement these ourselves. And maybe if these kind of little features get, maybe they get some popularity, get some attention, maybe it'll make BI be like, okay, maybe we could actually do this for vanilla, which I think will be a nice little touch to have.
Especially with how much more supportive they're being with their feedback tracker. With it, although it's not adding in new features per se, listening a lot more to a lot of people, regardless of what platform they're on, like console and PC, regarding having stuff fixed. With their recent stuff, whenever they post a patch, they'll actually link to the person in particular who made the thread. So they're really trying to work hard to acknowledge the community and acknowledge the stuff that's been happening, and they're trying really hard to make that transparency come through.
Yeah.
Because they've grown a lot with that. It wasn't always like this, and it just means that they're really trying to be more of a community-driven game. And they're not going to do everything. Like, they're not going to bend over knee and foot to try and appeal to every single thing. But if there's but if there's a feature that is beneficial, it's good, and it will not necessarily fix, but give more functionality to the game, I don't see why Bohemia wouldn't consider it, and it's just a matter of giving an appropriate pitch, because a lot of the people will just throw stuff at them and be like, add this. Like, you don't know how, if I had a nickel for every single comment that someone's put on Twitter getting pissed off at DayZ from the college community to add black plate carriers, I would be able to own Bohemia. I could probably buy out Bohemia with that amount of money.
It's so silly, man, but it's...
Yeah, and just add in monster trucks and add in the Eiffel Tower,
The crazy ideas people come with, man, it's crazy.
No one really has ever tried to just be formal about it. As far as I know, at least, there's no one that's just tried to formally approach Bohemia, they have emails, they have stuff for development in the modding community, and I don't get why anybody hasn't just given the time, write up an email, write up a pitch, put together some sort of presentation and send it off to them, because frankly, if you have something good, like I was saying, if you have something good and you have something that will benefit functionality, it's a good mechanic that will improve the game and improve the experiences in it, Bohemia would very well probably pursue something with that, and it takes the right sort of people, like the right cut, to actually go out and put together a presentation, put together some sort of group or meeting with a developer there and have something like this happen,
Yeah,
and
to be fair, yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think it'll be really, really something interesting to see. So I'm going to announce I'm going to do that so they can re-implement me fucking Red 9. So thanks for the idea. Thank you.
See, the thing is, like, I'll take it's happened before. To answer bluntly, like the inventory move sounds. Like, I've been approached by Adam about him wanting to put this in vanilla and things like this in vanilla, and it's not necessarily like a case of they they just don't feel like doing it. Sorry, I'm finding a fork to eat my milkshake with because I don't have a spoon. It's frozen. I'm working through it. All right, it's a process.
Yeah, I believe in you. You can do it, lad. You can do it.
I fucked it up already.
For fuck's sake.
It's not a case of like, they don't want to. They don't have the support to do it right now. Because their priority is in like other places.
Naturally.
And so while a presentation like that would be good, I think the best thing that you could have come of that is to get a job offer there and then have the desire and the will to accept such a job offer and help them do it yourself. Because they just don't have the means to do so at this point in time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I've offered, like, I make solutions all the time for them. And a good milkshake.
Oh, nice.
Like, I send over. There's like a bug that's going around right now, where like servers will freeze on like login in a very rare instance, especially with big ass servers. And I fixed it. It's an issue and mission server, and I fixed it for rearmed, and it's been running there for like 3 months without a single crash. Jesus. And I sent it over to them, and I'm like, dude, just copy paste this, put this in mission server, fix it. It would take 2 seconds to do it. So stuff like that.
Is that in hot patches?
No.
Oh, it's in the main mod.
It's in the mod.
I'll take a look at it.
I've got a question for you though, Dab, on that topic with getting people to actually work for them. I know DayZ has experimental. They've got it on PC and console, and it's a great source for people to be able to comment and fix issues that may be prevalent with updates. But do you think it would be beneficial if Bohemia actually opened up positions for full-time quality assurance testers?
I'm pretty sure they have. Yeah.
QA can't catch everything.
Not
DayZ
bad attitude.
QA, right?
Oh yeah.
They have a sizable QA actually. They have a pretty big department.
Yeah, from what I've seen, at least in the credits, the QA team's pretty cool.
They need scripters. Is what they really need. They need more scripters.
Yes. Well, it's funny because
there's not enough people that know Enforce.
Well, yeah,
that want to work there.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. They need to pay people more money to go out and work for them. How about that? I'll put it that way. They need to increase the salary for the scripters, and then you'll have all kinds of people flooding in from all over the world to work on DayZ.
I can imagine, yeah. But it is really cool that because I know recently that they have had more positions available not only for just DayZ but for other projects as well. So I always encourage people, if they want to do that, they can go ahead and obviously apply. But yeah, I do agree that there needs to be more scripters in the DayZ team, for sure. Because the way that I see it is, as much as it's absolutely fantastic that the community come up with these little these fixes to implement in their own servers and the publishers, the community. At the same time, it shouldn't have to be that way. But like you said, QA can't catch everything, and if there's not enough manpower, then there you go. It's just one of those unfortunate realities. But it's still awesome to see, regardless. At least in my way of thinking.
Yeah, but it's like Dad was saying too. If you're watching this and you have stuff that you can present or you have stuff that you could do, send it to them. All they could do is turn it away. It's going to be no harm towards you. And like Dad was saying, this work could get you a job in the future with them, and you would be able to do that stuff yourself, and you could bring this stuff to the table and improve the game for everybody. So 100% am an advocate for doing that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah.
Post it on Twitter.
Post it on Twitter.
Yeah, lad.
At me in the tweet. I'll retweet it if it's cool. If it's kind of cool, I'll retweet it.
Hell yeah, man! Of course. But no, all of this is absolutely wonderful to see, and I really do appreciate you guys coming in and showing everybody all of this stuff. Will you be keeping up like the community updated when this is going to be added? Is it going to be like open for the entire community, or is it going to be like server exclusive for like some places?
Was that a question towards me? I
Yes.
apologize. I was like partially listening. It'll be open for everybody.
Right.
I may
okay.
test it on a server initially to see if I have any issues with it or not.
Mhm.
But after that, it's gonna be a full on available for everybody. I don't want to segregate this feature to every from certain communities. It should
Yes.
be available for everybody.
Hell yeah, man.
It's unfortunate that something like this won't come to console unless Behemoth really picks up and takes it.
Yes.
I don't mind if they take it or not. I honestly would rather something like this be inside vanilla.
Yeah, definitely. Same here. Same here.
Someday.
One day.
I hold hope.
We all do.
I hope not.
Oh, shut up.
You have any idea how hard it would be to port the editor for console? We'd be fucked.
Oh, God,
Console
Jesus.
modding would kill me.
Well, on that topic though, with the new Infusion engine, they did say it would be very streamlined to make stuff for both console and PC platforms. So
It currently already is, but the issue is
design.
I
It's
would-
just straight up just
yeah,
design on our part.
design and controls would be a big thing
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah.
not enough
And there's
buttons on a
functionality too, you
controller.
know? Like I was saying earlier, you can't type a whole essay with a controller to do different functions and stuff. You know.
Oh no,
You
you ever
only-
seen
only
that
limited
Xbox
to so many
controller with the
buttons.
little keypad on it?
I don't
I
know,
have
man.
one of those, man.
Have you ever heard of this
Used to
thing
have
called
one.
Morse code? They send entire essays with a button.
Oh,
He's not wrong.
No, that's it, yeah. Oh, just imagine playing DayZ with a fucking Morse code. Fuck me.
What I see
One
with
of
the
those
whole
old school,
DayZ
Pong
editor on
joysticks.
console. The whole thing I see with DayZ on editor on console is that literally you boot up the console editor and you'd be all like, please plug in keyboard and mouse.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. He's
that's pretty much what it's gonna be.
hell yes.
And
hell
the big
yes.
issue too, even if they added modding to console, 90% of the people who run servers or make stuff for console edition don't have a PC, or else they'd be playing PC. Like,
Or there's actually a surprising amount of console owners that straight up like, I've seen a lot of people in the editor Discord say they bought a PC just to buy DayZ just to use the editor for their console server. I'm not
we
kidding.
gotta-
These people will sing $600. Mind you, I get none of this. I'm poor as fuck.
gotta
These
think of it-
people
you
will
gotta think
spend
of it this way, too, though.
$600 to use the editor, and I'm like, bro, come on.
no, but think of it this way though. Some of those servers are huge monopolies. Like, there are some servers that I crap you not will get over $5,000 a month just by doing spawning in NPCs for people with guns on them.
Bruh.
And for this is such a normal thing on PC, but on console, I don't remember when it was, but there was actually a server that would sell cars to people. So they would, for about $20 Canadian, they would spawn in a vehicle for you. They were making hundreds of dollars off that, and that completely goes against Bohemia's
I was just
monetization
about to say,
guide.
that's fucking naughty.
But everyone just does it. Like, it's just a thing, and I wish in a way that they would kind of drop the hammer on that for the console community, because like I've discussed in the past, there's a big underground circle when it comes to server owners and monopolizing it and making all this stuff, because a lot of servers, right, like in their current state, you can go onto them and you can buy, you can actually pay them to build a location for you, an editor. So if you go to a certain airfield and you want a giant castle, you will send them money and they'll put that castle there, regardless of what the rest of the players want. If they don't think that's a good thing, it doesn't matter. But if you give them $20, they'll build you an Eiffel Tower there just because you requested it.
I want to see an Eiffel Tower. Sounds kind of cool.
Same here. I want that now.
You want to make an Eiffel Tower out of wooden logs? Go for it, dude.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Make a fucking time lapse. I should add some type of time lapse function to the editor. I know I'm gonna eat my words for saying that, but something like that was something I did want to add at the beginning, because you could set up a camera and then you have to track every placement,
Yeah.
The key points.
but it would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a really cool feature to have.
I mean, it wouldn't be very hard to just. Oh, I just poked a hole in my styrofoam. Now I'm gonna eat
shit.
styrofoam.
Oh hell yeah! The most
Save the turtles.
tastiest
Come on,
of
man.
foods.
Eat that
Extra
styrofoam.
suck.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw this
Fuck
away
the
now. I want
turtles.
cancer.
Dad, while
Anyway.
you're here, one thing that was always on my mind is when like the functionality for the object spawner came out to console, you got such an overwhelming appeal from console moving over to it. What was your initial thoughts on that? What were your opinions when that happened?
I mean, it still kind of remains the same because I haven't really been active on the project recently. I've been really struggling to get motivation to work on it.
Makes sense, yeah.
But it was pretty cool to kind of see that, and I just kind of did the same thing I always do, where I was just like, okay, well, how can we add this and how can we make it better, and what can
Yeah.
everybody do to work on it? I talked to BI as well about adding more objects to the game, so hopefully they'll do that too. But like, so
Oh,
because we have
please.
builder items as a mod,
Don't though.
and they don't.
Over on console.
I swear to God, the amount of questions that we get about how do I get builder items on console? How do I do builder items on console? It's like,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. To
I
tell you
was
this.
just talking a lot about this. I was working on like a small little port of the little portion of Esker for console, and I was working on the bridge because Half Goblin had done something similar a while ago, and he had used the it was one of like the cement expedition bridges or something like that. And I was just looking at it, I was like, I want to do something that looks more like the Esker because they don't have steel industrial bridges connecting through the city. They have these like they look like pioneer bridges, like built from wood and stuff. So what I ended
Yeah.
up doing is because the water I was working with, because I built this over at the deep lake over near Tizzy,
Right.
I use the roofs of the deer hunting stands, and they actually, when you put them down in the water, because it is opaque, you don't see the rest of the hunting, like the actual hunting stand. It just looks like built platforms that have stakes going into the ground, and it's the coolest thing. And that's the only reason why I'm happy we don't have builder items, because for some people that are really trying to work hard, it encourages them to think outside the box, and it encourages them to make cool stuff like what we're trying to do right now. So
Yeah.
a lot
I
of
should do
unorthodox
challenge
thinking.
builds. I should do challenge builds.
You
Like
should.
competitions
You
and
should. That'd be
stuff.
really cool.
Let people compete and make the coolest build, and then just judge whatever was the coolest based on like
Just
what tools you had.
just don't let Dance of Jesus partake, he'll win instantly.
I don't know, man. He's been lacking. He hasn't posted anything recently. I don't know, man. Ever since he got that job over there, he's just been too good for us.
Oh,
So-
yeah, of course, yeah.
But
You know, it happens. It
I
always
think you should do
happens.
stuff for the console community, though. I tell you what, if you put up events, they would come in the ends, man. Like there would be so many people that would be down for something like that, and there's just no one's tried it yet. It's
What the fuck is going on in the background of your?
I was just about to say, what is...
You live like right next to like a park or something like that. You got a window open.
Yeah, I'm gonna close that, but to conclude the to conclude the TED Talk,
It's a conclusion.
you should do stuff like that for console, because it would be cool to have events like that, because we don't really have a Happy Bombs type person in the console community that's organizing events, organizing stuff for people to do. But because I'd imagine if someone tried that, if someone organized something like that, I believe that it could do a lot for the community.
Absolutely.
Something I
I'm gonna
just need
close
time
that
for.
bloody window. Hold on.
Well,
Speaking of time, I gotta jump out of here because I got some stuff I gotta do. Finals are coming up next
See
week.
that.
I'm almost
Well-
out of here, so I'll.
Oh,
I'll
Dad,
talk
real
fingers
quick.
crossed for you, bud. Fingers crossed for you. You
Yeah.
look after your thoughts.
What's up?
Scale Spear wants to know if you're ever going to make a way to export objects.txt formats in the editor
Is it not already done?
Which object? Yeah, which format is this specifically?
for Dr. Jones's trader, the object.txt format.
Oh.
Say no.
I wouldn't bother you with Scale Spear.
His format is so strange. I looked at that originally, and I looked at it, and I said, I don't like this at all.
Oh,
Hey,
no.
Well, there's your
If-
answer.
If someone from the community wants to do it, it's really not that bad. You know, feel free, send me the code and I'll put it in. You send me the code, I'll test it, and then it'll be in the day of. You send the code to me. Just do it. Let's do it.
Hell yes.
It's all open source. Look on
My DMs are open. Yeah.
look on his GitHub. It's actually not too bad to add something new to editor, to a certain extent.
We have so many export formats anyway. What's one more, right?
Well, that's it, yeah. But I really do appreciate you guys coming in, showing us the animations and talking for a bit. I really, really do appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. You can come in anytime. And looking forward to seeing the animations implemented.
Yep.
I'll
Awesome.
release some
Take care,
more
guys.
stuff over Twitter. So
Oh, it's spicy. I'll be keeping
as soon as
track of
I
that.
get something new done, and I'll put an update out, and
Yeah,
hopefully I have enough motivation to continue it.
Me
Fucking
and
we
War are working
will.
on something as well. We're gonna try and get something together because I'm hoping to make a full presentation for the animations for the zombies at least. That's a
Oh,
project.
Are you
I'm very
actually doing a
interested in.
video for that? I briefly read that DM you sent
Yeah,
me.
100%, man. I'm actually gonna make like Foley for it and stuff as well. So
I want to see this.
I'm gonna go
Are
make
you
that.
a
I'm gonna
fully
go
honest?
make that tweak video right now and put it on Twitter tonight. I'm gonna go do
Hell
that.
yeah, man. Hell yeah.
Later.
Right, take care.
easy. Yeah, 100% War Dog. So I'll talk to you later about it. But I'd really love to put together like some Foley, get some stuff together, and make it look like those old showcase videos that they used to have back in the day. Have like the Bohemia logo in the top left corner and like those little in development type things. You know, just it would be a cool little thing. And like what happened with your inventory video, it'll bring attention to these M's, you know, in the rough of the game, you know, and even if it doesn't come in, it'll bring its attention to Bohemia so they couldn't introduce something like that maybe in the future. Maybe not the exact same thing, but something similar to that. So
Yeah.
Yes. If Simac takes interest,
100%.
I'll be happy. So we'll see.
Yeah.
He's the lead design, so it's all up to him what goes in, what doesn't go in. I like his vision of the game so far since he's taken lead, and DayZ
Oh, yeah.
itself has definitely changed a lot within the past 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
It may not be
like I
apparent,
said,
but it's
people
very
come and go
different.
too with the Bohemia and with that new ideas, and we were kind of focusing more on what sucks about that, but what's good with new people coming over different projects and within Bohemia is they're bringing all that new talent, that raw talent, the new ideas, so that they could introduce new stuff that maybe the other team didn't even think about, you know? So it's cool to see that, especially now with how hard they've been pushing to get more careers out there for people too. So good to see it. It's really good to see it. And I hope
Hell
that
yes.
I hope to see them expand more. I think we've got 3 offices, right? Pretty sure.
I know of 2.
Okay.
But that's all I know about.
But just seeing them expand like that, it's good to see. And I hope that they become successful in that sense and they have a big group of people that are community driven and just want to give passion to it. It's like when Valve or Steam or no, sorry, yeah, when Valve had the Left 4 Dead people. The newest
Oh,
update that got
yes.
released, the Last Stand update, that wasn't done by the developers. That was done 100% by the community, and it was just modders. They reached out to Valve, and they said, "Game hasn't had an update since 2013, man. There's so much stuff. There's so much bugs. There's so much unadded content because they had items in the game from Counter-Strike Source,
Yes, yeah.
never made its way in, and they just approached them and they said yes. They said, all right, here's your deadline." They gave them the resources. They got the SDK to like the Left 4 Dead, and they got like the Source SDK and stuff like that, which is just like the base engine for the game and all the assets and stuff. And they were able to make a full update for the game, adding a new campaign, adding new maps,
Oh yeah,
new
they added
weapons,
so much stuff. I remember
and that was
that.
all. That was all community, and like blew up. Like when it got posted onto IGN, it got so many views, and it just shows that community ran projects can be just as good as what was done originally by the group working on it. So seeing it, maybe if I'm not saying that DayZ should do this or Bohemia should take a model like this where they get people to work on their updates, but if they have that focus on working with the community and getting more community-based development circulating, that would be a really good thing to see, you know?
Hell yes.
With stuff like, even with what War Dog's doing, like getting that in some sort of circulation, like I believe I was speaking about this when we were talking with Red Falcon, but having an incubator program for the DayZ modders, I think that'd be an amazing idea.
One
I think
day,
some sort of
one day we'll get it.
incubator program where they work with they give them the resources, they give them not necessarily monetary funding, but just some sort of they give them assets and stuff, and just have an incubator program where they can work with these modders to be able to make amazing stuff. I feel like that would be a really good move for them to do that.
Definitely, absolutely, definitely. Well,
It's like what we see with Arma as well. So
Oh yes, I do think that hopefully we will get it, but we'll just have to see how it all does pan out. I do want to move on to other topics though. So War Dog, it's been absolutely lovely you coming on. I really, really do appreciate it. A bit impromptu, but that's always the best way. So
Yeah,
you take
sorry
care of
about
yourself. Not mate, you got nothing to apologise about, mate. It's absolutely fantastic that you want to share stuff like that with us. So, but do keep us updated. Post on Twitter. When you do have updates and that, and I'm looking forward to seeing it released on the workshop.
All right, man. Y'all take care.
Right, for sure, bud. You take care of yourself, man.
Bye.
Bye. Absolutely, that was great. That was really, really awesome.
Yeah, I learned a lot already.
You're telling me. At first, it was like just going, shh, but then I was like, no, wait, hang on, no, I can see it's clicking, the cogs are turning. But no, it's really awesome that we do have people in the community that has the ability to bring in these vanilla functions, vanilla animations that haven't been released, and get them in the game. Yeah, sure, it's PC only, but it's always a step.
We can watch by the sidelines on console,
yeah. We're just enjoying our content, like, hey, fuck you. But
You get free popcorn.
Well, that's it. Yeah,
exactly.
You get your popcorn.
Get a free
that's
show.
not too bad. Well, that's it. Yeah. But so there's a couple of other things I want to talk about as well. Something I was very surprised with: a soundtrack, an actual DayZ soundtrack. Has anybody actually listened to it?
Yes. I gotta
Right.
say, I did take a listen, and was surprised because the full version to the menu track sounds a little different to what we actually hear in game, and it's actually cut down a
little.
lot. And I don't understand why they didn't actually use that full track for it, because personally, I think using that full track would just be so much better. Like, I really like the way the whole entire thing uncut sounded.
Mhm.
And I wish they would incorporate that instead of using what they use now, because they have a short cut down loop version. I guess it does make sense because it saves on space and stuff like that for assets
Yeah.
at least. But
I
it
mean,
would be cool to see that full song in there, because I gave it a listen. I gotta say, man, that sounded damn good.
this might be a bit of a. How do you find DayZ soundtrack? I will post the link to it, my lad. There you go, there, B. So, I went to bed, woke up, I had a soundtrack on Sunday. I was like, okay. So I thought, right, I'm gonna actually sit down, take a listen to it, see what it's like. And the songs, most of them, are from the trailers that we've gotten, which is really cool, because there are some tracks in the trailers that I was like, that's a fucking that's a banger. I really like that. But I've always hated the main theme. I have always hated it. It was like the stark contrast. The intro's like slow. It's like, yeah, it's really, really good. Give me a second.
Heavy rock going in. Yeah, I don't know. I wish that they would incorporate a lot that music into the game as well, because like with some games, what you notice is when you're moving through different areas, they have dynamic music that plays.
Yeah.
Or like Minecraft's a great example. When you go into the caves, music shifts and you have this eerie cave kind of music that plays. Having stuff like that could bring a lot to the atmosphere for the game. And although I don't think some of those songs that were in that playlist would be appropriate for actual in-game use, do like a lot of them, and it'd be cool to have stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's like, because don't you said you didn't listen to it, did you?
No, I did not.
How come? Was it just something that didn't interest you, or just haven't had the time?
I hear the music in game and I enjoy it, but I'll be honest, 99% of the time I don't play with music. I want to hear that footstep.
That's yeah, no, that's completely understandable. Yeah, I mean, I do think that it would be really, really awesome if DayZ does implement a kind of soundtrack in game. You know, you can always just turn the music levels off. To be fair, I do in the main menu. I don't have it on. like I said, I don't like the main menu song. I do think that there could be a better one, but if they do implement a really cool like soundtrack, I wouldn't necessarily say the one that they posted on YouTube, although there are a couple of tracks in there, like Gorka. That's one of the tracks.
But having like ambient music that plays, or like
like,
ambient music would be
stuff.
good.
I know,
Like, or like when if zombies get aggroed onto you, like there's a pitch shift and like the music starts to speed up a bit, you know, to get your heart racing. It's
I
really
wouldn't want that.
bring about that emotion. And you got to think about it too, though, because for hardcore people like you guys, you know, really you wouldn't want to listen to that kind of music because you're concentrating on PvP and stuff. But for the casual gamer, having that kind, or for like an RP, or having that immersion could be something that they'd like. But
I mean,
you know what? DayZ wants immersion. Bring back the 0.62 birds and everything else, and have that ambient sound change based off the region you're at. But like having high tempo and that kind of stuff happen with zombie aggro or whatever else, I think are artificial cues, and people aren't looking to break that immersion of themselves.
Yes. No, I completely agree. Yeah, I think the way that if they do implement their own soundtrack, I think the way that they should go by it is, you know, it's like, I guess you could say it's classed as a random events. You know, it's just some ambient music, maybe depending on the location you're in. So, you know, you got like, you know, you spawn on the coast, you got the kind of like a song that plays where it's like, you know this era of mystery. You know, it's kind of like like I guess you could say and then you know the more you move up north, the more I wouldn't say more harsh, but it does depend on
wild.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that would be the best way to go about it. But when you're in a PvE situation, like when you're fighting infected or in PvP, there should be no music at all, because having like high tempo or high action music in a PvP situation would just fuck me off.
My heart already wants to explode in PvP, so
yeah,
high tempo.
Exactly. But I, for what it's worth though, with what they did upload on that day, I enjoyed most of it. I really, really did. I wasn't a fan of their mix of the main menu theme, but like I said, I don't like that to start with. But the rest of the tracks, it was really, really nice to listen to, and I've actually listened to it once or twice at work when I've been alone in the office.
Yeah, and
But
some of the songs are honestly things that you can listen to and think that it sounds like DayZ. Like I know stuff can never really sound like something like an actual entity, but I do think in some sense that some of those songs capture the emotion, the essence that DayZ has, like that abandoned post-apocalyptic type feel. You know, like I feel that emptiness. You know, when listening to some of those songs, listening to those songs while I'm playing the game really brings out some of those emotions when you're playing, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
So
definitely.
I'm asking you guys a question about the soundtrack because I didn't listen to it yet.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is I should switch out my classical music I play when I'm modding to that.
No, God, no. Keep your classic. You're fine. Listen to your Beethoven, Mozart, and you know, and all them guys. You know that they're chill. They're all right. But listen to. No, I wouldn't. But not to say that the soundtrack's bad for modding, but classical just really gets you in the zone. Whereas listening to the DayZ's soundtrack kind of makes me like
some pep in your step.
yes. I do hope that they add more tracks to it though. I think that would be a really, really nice thing. And they also added, which is something I did not realize until I went on their channel, is a Vigor soundtrack, which I did not listen to because Vigor is not a game that I played. But it's really interesting to see that Bohemia is now starting to upload soundtracks of their games, and I'm gonna laugh
One
at
thing
the end
to
of
kind of interject with that real quick though, but one thing that is interesting about that is that Vigor and one of their other games, I think it was Yolans. I probably butchered the name of how the game is pronounced, but they both had their soundtracks uploaded to Spotify about a year or two before DayZ even got one.
Well, there you go.
I think the Vigor one was actually put out in 2020 or 2021.
Right.
So interesting to see that DayZ only just got its soundtrack now, and it
Mhm.
makes you question maybe that means Bohemia is taking a step towards DayZ and they're putting more resources into it because they want to become
It is their
more than
second
just a
best game.
project.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
because
it.
like
Yeah.
even the Arma soundtrack, like if you look at their Spotify, they've had or not podcasts, they've had Arma soundtracks playlists for a while now.
Mhm.
So it's
To
interesting to see
be
that they just added one for DayZ.
to be fair though, the Armor soundtrack is an absolute banger. It absolutely is. Like when I used to play Armor 3 before completely shat all over my PC and decided to delete 60 70 gigs worth of mods when my download speed was like 300 kilobytes, if that. The soundtrack was just it was absolutely great. But it's I've always been a fan of obviously music and games. Music, depending on the nature of the game, can really make it.
I just find it cool that like they have a soundtrack now, and you know who's been
Oh, yeah.
pushing for merchandising a little bit? Podcast.
Yeah. Hey, on that topic of Arma 3, I know we were going to talk about the Xbox server Conquest, well, Xbox and PlayStation now,
Mhm.
which takes an Arma 3 approach. So, if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind going ahead and giving a bit of a down about that.
Okay. Yes, mate.
I
No,
was going to
I
take
would
a bite of his
absolutely.
mic.
So,
I would absolutely
for
love to
people,
hear more about that. Yes, go for it.
yeah, for sure. So, for people who don't know, or for people who are on PC, Conquest has been around for a while. They used to just be on PlayStation for the longest time, actually,
Uh-huh.
and they only recently, it was either this month or the month before, moved over to Xbox as well. And it's a really interesting take on a game mode for console. Because most of the time when you're playing console servers, it's either roleplay servers or like you got like the heavily modded boosted deathmatch servers, but there's never really like an actual team deathmatch type thing.
Yeah.
And that's where Conquest is really shined because they inspired it from I'm not sure if you ever played the Wasteland game mode on Arma.
Wasteland. Which one was that one? I
It was
can't
like
I can't
there
quite
was
remember.
3 factions, and there would be like vehicles and loot boxes that would spawn across the map, and you were trying to gain control.
No, I'm not too familiar with that one, unfortunately.
Well, they based it off that, and they wanted to bring that out because, like I was saying, they've never really had something like that on console before, and it took
Right.
off really well. There was really good reception for it, and inspired a lot of people because this is a full-on like immersion-based game where it's supposed to feel kind of like Arma. You're supposed to get that feeling, and does a good job of doing it. How they did it is they split the players up into 2 factions.
Right.
I forget the first one, but I know Chidaki, which is one of the factions from
Wasn't it
Arma
NATO?
Days.
NATO and
It
Chidaki.
might have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So they had Chidaki, and I think they also had at one point. I think they had Nappa, so which
Right.
was another faction. So they were staying true to the lore, and they said it takes place after the 2009 Civil War
Mm-hmm.
happened in Chernarist, which was like Arma 2, and really cool. So it's at its core, it's still a deathmatch game. So the 2 factions, all they're trying to do is get more control over the map. So it is a full map.
Mm-hmm.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to take over towns and control them and get the majority control over the map.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an interesting thing, and it's not really a public server because there are rules that come in play too because they can't just enforce teams. So there's nothing stopping friendly fire or anything that could be
Right.
game breaking. So they have to make it a whitelist server so that people join their website, look at their rules, and understand how to
Go
play
through
it
the
properly.
proper
Because
processes, because the last thing they want is some random schmo to come in and just completely like cause a lot of
mowing
issues for
everyone
the
down,
players.
going
Yeah,
Rambo,
exactly.
and
I mean,
it's
to
happened
be
before.
fair, I would do that.
And luckily they haven't had that issue a lot.
Right.
It has happened before where people will just come in, regardless what team they are, just start blue on blue, shooting everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And they did have action taken against them, of course, but it just solidifies the fact why it couldn't be a public server, and it ties in with the limitations that we have on console because we can't do a lot of the event stuff like what they do on PC. We don't have staff tools, and that's one thing we had touched upon in Red Falcon's episode. We don't have any staffing tools. As the owner or as an admin, you can't no clip. There's no teleporting. There's no viewing players' inventories, ESP, any of that stuff.
Mhm.
If you want to teleport to a different player, you're gonna have to drive there yourself, or you're gonna have to do this convoluted method where you make a new spawn point, disable all the other spawn points, quickly reset the server, spawn there, disable it, reset the server again so no one else spawns there, and then call it a day. And that's just no one's gonna do that, you know. But it's
you know what that reminds me of? Sorry to interject. That reminds
Worries.
me of a community I used to play on in Legacy. And, you know, obviously they didn't have mods back then, you know, not proper mods, so there was no, like, admin tools and that. So when tickets were made for people to be comped, they had to actually, like, go around to get the loot to help them, or if they wanted to set up an event, they had to spend, like, weeks and weeks trying to get all the stuff, put it in a tent somewhere safe, so nobody, like, the players don't go on there, like, to find it and take it all. It's like... It so reminds me of that. So, wow.
But they have made it a lot easier. Like
Yeah.
events have become easier because with the object spawner, not only does it spawn in like assets,
Yeah.
we can also spawn in loot as well. So if you
Oh,
put
yeah.
guns and stuff into the object spawner, it'll spawn those items there, and then when
yes.
server restart happens, it won't stack weapons there. So it'll only spawn a new weapon at that location if the one prior was taken.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's like if you put like a knife stuck in the wall using the object spawner and then it stays there, every server restart, it's not going to make another one happen and another one happen. It's only going to keep that knife there unless someone takes it, and then another
Yeah.
one will respawn. And what people have been able to do is for deathmatch servers, they make loot crates. And they use the I think it's the effect area file, the CFG effect area,
Right.
to make like flares go off because it's used mainly for like the contaminated areas. Something that we've been doing recently, we've been using it to call particles in for certain areas to do stuff like loot drops. So you actually have the particles going off in those areas. So it's a weird workaround, but
No,
managed
that's
to get it working pretty
fantastic.
well.
That's fantastic. Right, okay, so I'm going to be like a little bit nerdy and excited for a little bit. But this is the thing. This is what I absolutely love to see from any kind of community, PC or console, whatever. You get limitations. You get these roadblocks that, like, you know, realistically should prevent you from doing these kind of things. And you bloody amazing people just be like, nah, sod that, we'll do it this way. And it works. And it works. It's like
Yep.
for the past few months I've seen Skill Speeder, you know, he's been doing some really great stuff on the console side. I recall when Don Sibley, he made I believe it was something to do with like a trader, you know, stuff on the walls and stuff like that. It was absolutely great. And you know, with what you've done and doing for Zagoria, console, I to me as a PC player and a modder, you know, I used to be a staunch like PC, like if you don't play DayZ on a PC, you can get out, son. But now console, it's like it is so underappreciated for the limitations you guys have to create these unique things, stuff that maybe even PC might not even utilize or even think to do. Because I mean, I could be talking out of my arse, to be honest, but but it's really nice to see it. So I did see earlier on, I can't remember your name for the life of me. I do apologise for who recommended we talk about it on the podcast. But I saw that the Discord was like 32,000 members inside it, which is...
Oh, are you talking about the greedy peasant?
No, I'm talking about Conquest.
Oh, Conquest. Yes.
So it's like that was just... But in the greedy peasant as well, I haven't had a chance to check out much of his stuff, but it's just... I love it when limitations are broken. I just love it.
Yeah, and it encourages you to think outside the box, because when you get stuff given to you as easily as, and I'm not saying you do get stuff easy on PC, but when you get stuff given as easy as you get it on PC with your modding, you see that as a challenge for ourselves to try and break that gap and do something cool like what you guys are doing. And
yeah,
maybe it's not making a mollusk, and maybe it's not making a new deer isle, but we're damn well trying to do something similar to that, you know.
Hell
And
yeah! I mean, you got to work
even
with what you've
recently,
got. Yeah.
yeah, and even recently, I utilized the effect area file to create a custom trader notification or safe zone notification so that when a player enters a safe zone, the color of their screen changes.
Nice.
How?
Very,
It's
very
never been
smart.
done before, and it's something that's really primitive and rudimentary on PC. For console, that's never been attempted before, and it's something that's blowing people's minds because it adds a staffing tool. Because now, if people are in the safe zone, they'll see their screen turns green or blue or whatever I've allowed the person who's using it to change it to. So works well with staff as well, because when they report a clip to the staff, they can actually see that the user's screen was green when they got killed, so they know, oh, that person was in safe zone.
That's smart.
That is smart. That is. It's simple, but it's smart. That's.
Like you were saying, it's the things that we have to do to try and corner cut to be able to do something similar to what happened on PC, and in our efforts find out new stuff that we weren't even trying to accomplish in the first place, you know.
Yeah.
Like with what I was talking about with the bridges for my Deer Isle or Namalsk, or no, Essiker. Wow, with the Esker port.
You'll get the map correct eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. Go start listing them all off.
Yeah.
It's with the Essiker port that I was doing for Esker City, when I did the stuff with the bridges and when I realized what I could do with the deer stands, I
Yeah,
thought,
yeah.
what more could I do with it? And what I ended up doing is, with a bit of love, I don't have a picture on me, unfortunately, but made barricades. So it's like the post sticking in the ground, like they look like civilian made barricades, like what you have on Livonia.
Right.
So I've placed them around police stations and certain villages, and it actually looks like kind of like what they have at the ski resorts. Like if you see those little wooden fences that have the posts sticking into the ground,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it looks like, and it looks really good. It looks like it was just something that was thrown together as a resistance barricade, you know. And it
So
was
cool.
just something that came up while I was messing around with making the bridges. So
That's awesome.
That is.
you really have to think outside the box, and it makes you think differently. And especially even when I went over and was messing around with stuff on PC, I still used a lot of those techniques I used from console because they make it look damn good, you know.
Well, that's
Yeah,
it. That's
definitely.
it. That's it.
Well, it kind of reminds me of something somebody we well known, Marks. He was asking if parts could spawn inside of car wrecks,
I
like
saw that on
radiators and that
Twitter,
stuff.
yeah.
And I said, I tagged Project Lemons here and I said inserted because he literally just told me about doing something like that. Go ahead and tell
I
him about
just
it, man.
made that for the early access version of Zagoria. I just made a new feature literally 24 hours before Marks made that post. I made a new feature utilizing the I believe it was the map group proto file, because there's
Right.
actually, I thought about it for a while and I've been brainstorming because I was like, is there a way where I can specify different items spawning it? Because if you just put the stuff in the proto, it'll just put anything in there. So you could have a battery where the radiator is supposed to be, or a spark plug where the battery is supposed to be. So I was like, how is there a way to do it? But when I went in there, there's actually a way to specify specific proxies for items. I can make it so that a radiator will only spawn in that location, or a battery will only spawn in this location. So what I did is, I went through the DayZ editor. God bless Dab for that.
Yes.
And he has a loot editor. So the loot editor,
Yes.
I went in there and I placed the stuff, and I messed around with it, and I was able to get the points working well enough where I then imported it and converted it, because it's not exactly the same with what they use for the proxies.
Right.
So I had to change it around a bit, and I did some tweaking with it. But then I ended up making it so that in wrecked vehicles, you can find batteries, you can find spark plugs, and they're in their proper locations as well, where you'd see them on a working car. So I'm gonna release that. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure this week I'm gonna release it with my next stability update for Zagoria, because I'm adding in a few other things as well.
If possible, make a video, showcase that, because especially for the console side, that is just, it's just a
That's perfect.
nice little level of detail that you
Quality
can
of life
have.
thing, and that's what I'm really trying to hone in on, because anyone can do like the builds of DayZ editor and stuff like that, and a lot of people do that kind of stuff for console. There's a lot of people making custom maps, custom stuff like that, but there's not a lot of people who are trying to focus in on doing the quality of life things. Like another example, was talking to Don Sibley when 1.17 first released, and I had the idea. You put the improvised head wraps on patient zombies or have a chance of them spawning on it, so it looks like they had a head injury. And I add that in, and it worked perfectly. So the zombies, you'll see a patient zombie walking out of the hospital with a head wrap around its head, looking like it had a head injury.
Like, gosh, I'm having Metal Gear Solid 5 vibes right now. That's awesome.
I wonder if that I mean, obviously that will be possible on PC, so I wonder if that could. I mean, server by server basis, that could probably be added as like part of the server.
The thing is, too, once I'm done working on Zagoria, once I'm confident with it, and once I lose time working on it, and I don't have the time to work on it anymore, I'm gonna make a full repository for it so that anyone can download it. Whether they're on PC or console or any platform, I'm gonna let them be able to use that, because there are some people on PC who may look at some of that stuff and say, "This looks cool. I want to use this," And I'm not gonna limit it. I'm not just gonna host it off my servers and make it so that you guys can't happen. I want this thing to be open source so that people can see what we're doing and work off it. I want to inspire people in the console community to look at these assets and look at the stuff I've been working on and say, "This is cool, but I can do something better."
Yes,
it's the spark that starts the flame. Makes so much new content, because it gets me going when I see people actually modding for Xbox. And like I was saying to Dumpgraw, I say modding in the loosest parentheses possible. But they're making new content, and that's frankly amazing, and it's really good to see.
It's amazing that you guys can do that. Like us PC players, we have an entire workshop at our disposal, and you guys are all like, I have a pipe wrench. What can I do? But it's awesome how clever you guys get with your stuff. Also, speaking about talking and approaching BI about stuff, please approach BI with an official proposal for admin tools in game. They already have it set up.
Yeah.
Like, you have to enter an admin password to go into admin mode. They have the entire process secured. Why can't they give you guys tools? I really want them to do that.
Yeah, same here. I think that'll be.
I'll put together a TED talk for them.
Hell yeah, brother! Fucking
There
yes.
you go. Add that to your list. We'll make you like the official podcast representative of pushing ideas.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up too, because I've actually got something working on it with them. I've got an email out to them right now, because I managed to get one of their emails that is used for the Arma 2 side, but it's actually a general Bohemia email.
Right.
It's used for their modding program and their incubator program to work with the modders. So I shot them over an email, and I haven't received anything back yet. It had to do with some of the stuff that we've been implementing and stuff like that. So it's an interesting thing, and it would be cool to see them working with, not necessarily like in the email I said, just encouraging a program where they can work with people in the console community, work with people in the PC community, and have that community effort put into the game, and brought to use.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping somebody at Bohemia, when they're going through their files, sees that eventually, because there was a lot of stuff in that, and it wasn't even just stuff for like Project Lemons or anything like that. It was just stuff in general to enhance the community and bring fun stuff that the community can do and benefit from. So
yeah. DayZ Daily Press has just asked, any news when the new engine will be kickstarted? Your guess is as good as mine, mate. I'm pretty sure that if BI ever release any information about Infusion, or even like the vehicle update, they'll notify everybody on their social media. We won't get any exclusive info about that, unless.
I was just curious what you meant by Kickstarted. Do you mean like Kickstarted, like the website, or do you mean
like
that's what I was thinking, like getting crowdfunding for it.
Bohemia Interactive is now
it's
launching
already
Kickstarter.
made. They're just polishing it.
Yeah.
No, I'm waiting for the Bohemia Patreon.
Oh gosh,
mate, that'd be. Oof. But no,
unfortunately,
which
podcast is Patreon.
Oh yes, check out the Patreon. Actually, that's a good, not a segue immediately, but I do want to be discussing that at the end. But anyway, no, there's no new information. But if there is any published, we will be talking about it on the closest podcast episode. For that. But
one thing we were talking about is, when the new update dropped for 1.17, this is kind of going back to our previous talk with the whole 1.17 update.
Yeah.
Is that vehicles did act a bit different, and
Yes.
it makes you think, what if this is their public playtest they were talking about long ago? Because there's been some differences, and this is just like I could just be talking out of my ass right now about it, but I've noticed some different ways with the way vehicles are weighted and their interactions. Not I know with Mark's video, he did a lot talking about the speed differences, the and the damage differences, which there are some apparent ones. But when I was playing around with it on console, I've noticed there's been actually different weighting issues. Like if you drive a Gunter, it's a very top-heavy vehicle for some reason with the new update, and if you pull a corner, you will actually roll the Gunter. It's
Nice.
not something that I wouldn't have been able to do in one of the past updates. And the other thing I noticed as well is the vehicles reacted differently in certain situations. So,
See,
like this complete flyball. What if this is their public playtesting? Because they did say it would come in a few weeks. And what if they're just trying to be little sneaky little people at Bohemia trying to do this, just and then seeing, what did you guys think?
no, whereas I do agree that there have been changes and the vehicles have gotten better. I don't think that this is their playtest. Not a chance. I think if they include something as major as a complete, because essentially it is a new vehicle simulation. That's essentially what it is. That's what it will be. They need to be able to test that properly, with its own branch. Dumpgrow, what do you think? Do you think the same, or have you got a perspective on it?
Oh, it's definitely not a play test. um, I don't know much about vehicles modding wise, but I understand their systems. And the vehicles did not change a huge major update. Maybe as players, it looks like it, but in reality, they just made it so the tires have more traction on the hills and the dirts and stuff. They changed the gear ratios and a couple of the weights of it, but the core system of vehicles has remained the same.
Yeah, exactly. It's more so this update. I feel it's more so of like a quality of life improvement rather than a completely brand new system, which is
And quality of life's an understatement, man. It's been so good.
yes.
I love being able to flip a car and walk out not dead. That is a amazing thing. Especially F Goblin, who was on the podcast recently. He has a server called Downhill, which is a full racetrack of different stunt track type things for players to go down on vehicles, and they have like jumps and loop de loops and different hoops they can throw themselves into, and it's like you're playing the Wreckfest. It's
Right.
really interesting, and it has a focus on vehicles. And I saw in some of his TikToks that there was actually PC people that were asking, "Is there something like this on PC?" It was a fun idea, and especially with the new vehicle update, it has been chaos on there, man. It has been
Sounds like
I can
fun.
imagine. I can imagine.
cars
Yeah.
flying, babies crying. It was amazing, man.
Hell
But
yes. Hell yes.
but I'm
But,
just glad to see that the vehicles have taken a bit of a pivot, because
They need it. They
they
needed
are,
it.
yes, and they just feel a lot better. Like, feel a lot like, I guess a lot of it too is just like want to believe it too, so you're overcompensating for the stuff they've added. But I do feel in some
Yeah.
sense that there has been a lot of change with the vehicles, and that Dumpground was saying, that the weighting, the traction and stuff, you can see that stuff. If you've been
Yeah.
driving cars for a long time, I mean, weren't really driving back in the day, you were flying them, but if you had experience driving cars, you can tell in the new update that there's definitely a difference. And it's like Scale Speeder was saying, they are a big improvement now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Definitely. There's
I
no
honestly
doubt
think
about that.
what they
yeah.
did this update, really what happened is they took, let's say, Bob, and they're like, Bob, how you doing today? What? I'm like, congratulations, you're on card duty until 1.17.
Oh fuck! Oh shit!
Like they literally put a
Flesto.
guy and told him to drive all the vehicles nonstop and give feedback until 1.17, and that's what they did. Because if you look at modded vehicles during 1.16 and some vanilla vehicles, some modded vehicles were far better than vanilla vehicles.
Yeah.
And that's why I say that they didn't do anything core major. They just fine tuned what the vehicles were doing.
Which, to be fair, they absolutely needed it. They absolutely did need it.
that alone has silenced a lot of the queries that people have had, because vehicles just felt weird. Like there's no real other way to say it. They just kind of felt off, you know?
They
When I'm
always
playing,
have. Yeah.
yeah, with 1.17, I can hesitantly say that they feel a little more normal, a little more down to earth, and they feel actually connected.
Yes.
Feel like they're actually weighted, and they're not just these little toys that are being thrown around by someone's hand, you know? Like, I feel like I'm actually stuck to the ground. I'm not a human frisbee, and it's amazing. It's amazing to see it, and it's promising because like the general theme we've been talking about a lot throughout the podcast is that there's change happening. There's good change, and Bohemia is
Yes.
pulling their straps up. They're pulling up their slacks, and they are doing work. They're
Damn
putting that
fucking
work
right.
in.
Damn right. I'm excited to see what they've got going. I really, really am. But I'm also excited to see what the community does in their spare time. That may not be especially like exclusive to DayZ in game, but segueing into a different topic, something I noticed, and Dump, you might be interested because I know you've got a 3D printer. See if I can get it up here. It was something that I just quickly saw on the Reddit last night. Somebody 3D printed a 3D topography, and I can never bloody say it, topography. A topography map of of Chernarus.
Sound it out.
And I want to show you guys this as well. So I want this. I want this so much.
Looks very pretty.
I mean, yeah, because what this guy's going to do is that he's also going to paint it in the future, which I am really, really looking forward to. But it's stuff like this that you see, you know, yeah, sure, people, you know, they create mods, they create, you know, videos, they create like video essays, you know, the mod console and do stuff in there. But stuff like, you know, we've had in the past, a Prestige, I believe it was, who created the EpiPens and the, you know, stuff like that. Actual physical objects that are DayZ related, just
Merchandise.
well, essentially, yeah. It just I'm all over that shit. So I like I said, I saw this on the Reddit last night, and I had to show it. And like I said, you know, you've got a 3D printer. He's left the files for it, so if you want to make your own, you can.
Yeah, I've actually seen the files before, but this one's really good. I was just going to say, this is another merch idea for DayZ. Sell a topology map of Chernarus. Like, seriously, like I remember when I was a kid, my friend's dad, who was a geologist, had these all up on his walls, and they were so cool. You can literally see all the valleys and the depths. Seeing this 3D printed is just as cool, too.
It's great. It's great.
It's just the first time I've seen one of these prints done before. There was one person, he had a Etsy store, and he made one for Chernarus, and I think he either made one for Deer Isle or one for Namalsk. They were really nice, really high quality, and he would sell them in different varieties. So you get them like different colors, you get them like rough or smooth, and it was really cool. And I'm happy to see that more people are doing it, because when I saw that, like, this is I want this. This is mine now. This is.
I'll be honest. If this guy who printed this, put in the cities, like put in little small town houses and stuff, 3D printed, and painted it, I would pay this guy easily $100 for it.
Easily,
more than 100, man. I would totally, man.
I said easily.
You know, throw them all my money.
Right,
I mean,
here's my next paycheck.
It's such a cool thing. I would like decorate my walls with it instead of like, you know, gamer junk. It would be DayZ junk on my walls.
Even
like
just using it as a paperweight too. That would be a really nice paperweight to have. Or like they use like a see-through material. Like if they casted one, it would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Ooh, resin? Ooh.
Yeah, with resin. So if they made a resin cast out of it, like they 3D printed the actual cast and then used resin to make a see-through version. Like that'd be pretty cool.
Like this guy could even like 3D print these and
he could
even
mass
put like
them.
names on it.
Yeah. Because if he was to have resin, then he could do mass producing, and I'm sure he would have to get licensing rights from Bohemia prior to that because it is
Easily, yeah.
technically their
Well, that's
their
it, yeah.
IP. So, but it would be cool to see stuff like that hit the market somehow.
And I know we've spoke about it on the podcast before, but having more merchandise, or heck, even coming up with a system, or just allowing people to create their own merchandise based off DayZ, like in a proper legal way. I can only imagine there's a lot of people out there who we've had people who can make custom keycaps. We've had Prestige with the EpiPens, and now that we've got this, and it's like people really love DayZ. They really, really love DayZ, and they like to represent the game that they love. And many other companies, they have many forms of merchandise and many different avenues for it. It would be really cool if Bohemia decides to take that initiative to go for it, to create some different kinds of merchandise. I've always advocated for a figure. It doesn't have to be something that you can like move around, but maybe swap out the body for some, like, I don't know, maybe you got one that's got the brown hunting jacket. It's wearing that, the hunter pants wearing those kind of pants, and that it's like an actual collection. Just something that you can like decorate with, put bags on. It's got an SKS on its back or something like that. Just something that can really represent your love for the game. Something like that. I mean, I could be talking out my backside, but I like shit like that. I always have done.
Nice.
And I've always said, because obviously the running joke, lad in his red 9, it's never coming in. Yes, it fucking is. When I go to Airsoft and I get my Yukara, which is like a Airsoft license thing for, the UK, I want to buy an Airsoft variant of the Red 9, which is a Mauser C96. And I found a website that does it with a wooden stock. But I can't fucking buy it. Because I don't have a Yukara, I can't import it. We've lost Project Lemons. He has an issue with his laptop battery. Sometimes it dies a bit too quick, so he'll be back very, very shortly, hopefully. But but it's stuff like that I like seeing on the Reddit, and it's really, really awesome to see what people can do. Welcome back, my lad.
Nice. Daily Press put in there, I believe the vehicle should not be a jigsaw puzzle, just a spark plug or radiator needed, not all the other pieces. I honestly, Daily Press, I think that with the way people can manipulate the economies and stuff, that is very unnecessary, as vehicles like helicopters really make the map incredibly small and makes it feel more of, I don't know how to describe it. Precise, I don't have the right word, but I think vehicles, once you have a vehicle running, it's so easy to always gas back up that kind of earning the vehicle is kind of its first challenge. And then after that, it's not really much of a challenge after that. I mean, obviously crashing sucks.
Shouldn't tell them about the brake fluid or the motor oil.
Oh, God, Jesus
I remember
Christ.
when you used to have to use motor oil. I remember that.
Yeah, and then they got rid of it.
There was more stuff in the files too. There was engine belts, and there was a lot of more stuff they wanted to do. And luckily, they didn't do that. But it was cool. It was pretty cool to see that stuff.
It was cool.
See what I like. What
As
I've always
stupid
liked
as it
about,
was.
yeah, it's something that I've always liked about DayZ is that whereas it's a complex game, it's simple. Like, yes, when you get a car, the hardest thing, the two hardest things is, one, finding a car. Secondly, building it up properly. Yeah, sure, you can get your wheels and you can get your radio, and obviously, not crashing it. But I don't think.
I mean, just like with the CFG spawnables and your Type 6 ML, you can make a car spawn with all the components and only require a spark battery if you're a server owner. Yeah, so, like, these things are easily possible for people to do. I just don't know if I would want the official game to do it that way.
Yeah, I mean, even on console too, you can actually spawn vehicles in, have all the stuff on the cars, and then have extra spares spawn in the back, like in the trunk. So,
Dyson says, "What do you guys think about the alternator being attached to the battery required to recharge?" Dyson, I think batteries, the amount of stuff required for batteries default is perfect for right now. Actually, I think modded wise, that'd be really cool because I'm a hardcore guy. But I think default, I think they're actually really good state.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. And it would be really, really nice to. I keep saying that phrase tonight. It's annoying me.
I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah, shut up. What would be interesting to see if a mod was to come out where it was like a really in-depth car mod, where, you know, it's a couple of, you know, little dinky cars or something like that, where, you know, you got your basics, you need to get your tires and your radiator, your battery, but you also need a whole bunch of separate components to get the engine in full working order. That would be really cool for like the proper hardcore servers where, you know, it's brutal, it's unforgiving, but it's rewarding for the stuff that you do.
Red Falcon, that's your cue.
Get to it, my boy. Get to it. But yeah, it's Ariel for
Red Falcon does that. He can have my gas fuel station limited quantity mod.
Yeah, we were talking about that. That was we'd had that talk a while ago because Dumbgra had a full mod where you actually had to use generators to power gas stations so you could take gas out, which is a feature that, as Dumbgra know, is something that I love from Project Zomboid. And me and him could pour our hearts out to each other about that game. And there's a lot of features from Project Zomboid that I wish were in DayZ. The other hand, it's stuff that, like he was saying, it's hardcore stuff, so it's not feasible for like the end player who may be a casual gamer, which a lot of the people that play on the game. So
I need to play that game a lot more to completely understand it. There was one YouTuber I used to watch. She would like upload 30-second clips of like
Nurse,
like, thank you, and absolutely fantastic.
Amazing,
amazing.
Yeah, and it's such a good game. And what I've noticed is a lot of people stream DayZ will go between DayZ and Project Zomboid because it gives off that same survival feel. Like it is a lot different. Like what I always tell people is it feels like RuneScape and DayZ if they had a kid. No, like because like the isometric old graphic style type thing, you know.
That's certainly one way to look at it. Yeah, definitely. But I don't want to be steering too far away from DayZ, but
yeah, for sure. But
might be an interesting topic for the future. By the way, hello Foxypo, hello Nixus, my boys. Hope you're keeping yourselves well and hope you're enjoying your Friday night. Something else.
Lad, that's who I was waving at, not you.
Okay. Anyway, so I completely lost track of what I was going to say. Thanks.
We're moving on to the next topic.
Yeah, thank you. So something that I want to also touch on now. I was already playing. I wasn't even showing it yet. So something that Half Goblin showcased a couple of weeks ago, but kind of touched on it in the last podcast. But I kind of want to talk about it a little bit more. We don't have that much time left, so we won't keep you guys too much longer. But it's actually quite interesting. In Project Lemons, you've took advantage of something like this before, but GeForce Now, which is an interesting and awesome invention. By the way, absolutely lovely. So what Half Goblin has done, the absolute mad lad, is he's actually been playing modded maps through GeForce Now on console. And is there a yes? Okay, cool.
Just to clear up something before anyone asks any questions, he isn't playing the games on the console version of DayZ.
Yes.
So he's not using some special injector that's putting the maps onto the game.
Yes.
He is playing the PC copy of the game, so he has like the workshop integration and stuff, but he's playing the PC version of the game through his Xbox. Which is pretty cool.
And you can kind of tell. Oh. There we go. Oh, God, the AI, Jesus Christ.
What if I told you that I'm pretty sure in that clip he's using a Xbox controller for that?
Yeah, no, you can kind of tell he is.
No, you can see it right down below. Oh, that's just a thing.
Cool, because it allows that functionality for players who may not have a keyboard and mouse to still play the game, because a lot of people who may be playing Xbox may not have a keyboard and mouse ready.
Yeah.
To have the controller accessibility, not just for DayZ, but for any PC game that you own on Steam, is pretty cool. And I know we were having, I was pouring my heart out to GeForce Now last night, because oh, that thing is,
it's great.
It's one of God's gifts, man.
I will say I have noticed a lot more people starting to use it these days, which is
been around for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of known about it for a long time, but I haven't really seen it take much precedent until about, the last month or so? Like, I'm hearing everybody's using it, and it's like, it's mad, it's weird. It's like, oh, okay, this is one of those things, but people are using it in a really cool way. For it,
and I believe the big thing for what caused that hype and traction is they just released the RTX subscription tier, which allows you to use the 3080 as your stream system. Yes. That you can play games with, like, their big selling point right now is you can play God of War with the new RTX 3080 full, and what's cool is they're not lying either. You play with ray tracing, you play with 120 FPS at 4K, like the stream is even 4K 6 or 4K 120. So you're getting all that quality off. You could be playing on a toaster. It feels like you're playing on a real computer, and it's the RTX subscription. I think it's only about $26 to $28 Canadian,
right?
Which is very fair, like a month to rent out one of these computers. And like what I was saying last night, you don't get to play all these games randomly. Like, it's not like on Xbox where you have a Game Pass where you get access to hundreds of games. You do have to own the games on your Steam library. Like, you will have to have a Steam account or an Epic Games account or one of those, like Ubisoft. But if you own these games, you can play them beautifully. Like, I was able to play Gary's Mod and DayZ on my Series X 120 4K stream, and it had everything. Like, it was extreme graphics. Everything was maxed out on DayZ, and it was pushing. It was doing better than my actual rig that I use for editing and, like, gaming and stuff. So I was like,
"This is it. Oh. This is where it's at." I also want to just quickly post Half Goblin's TikTok. So if it's only fair that I showcase that kind of stuff there, considering that was where the videos were from. So check out his TikTok. Check out his social media platforms. He's an absolutely lovely guy, and yeah, he was a really great guest. But yeah, I mean, cloud gaming is always something that's kind of interested me within, like, the past decade. I remember you having to read gaming magazines back, like, before it was, like, in secondary school and college, and it was like, it's this streaming service, and I was like, oh my god, this is something I want to get into it. And then obviously that got shut down. But nowadays, cloud gaming, playing games on demand, streaming it on your console or whatever, and now with the stuff like this, with the Steam Deck and stuff like that, I keep wanting to call it the Stream Deck. Where is it going to lead to? Because right now it's like, how is it going to get any better than this? Like, being able to just play a game wherever you want.
Well, one thing that I saw recently, and this could be the new thing, is LG. I'm pretty sure it was LG. They released a smart monitor where you don't need to own a computer, you don't need to own anything, and you just buy the monitor, and and I'm pretty sure it remotes a pre-built PC to the monitor. That you have a fully smart monitor that you can use as a computer. So it's like an all-in-one, but there's no actual PC parts inside of it. That monitor could be an RTX 3080 in the cloud.
I'm not too sure how I feel about that. Buying this monitor and then you having to pay constantly monthly.
No, I mean, I don't think it's a monthly subscription. I think you just have it.
That's all.
Yeah, I don't believe it follows the same model as GeForce Now, because that would be pretty pretty
Yeah, that would
douchey
be-
if they made you have to
Yeah,
pay
I was
for it on
just about to
top of
say,
already
that would
buying
be
the
a bit
monitor, which will
fucked.
probably be a few $1,000s on its own. But no, I believe that you actually, it's all functionality is already built into it, so you can do your work in game and stuff without even owning the computer, which be very good for people who may not have the money to get a full PC rig, or people who want to get into streaming and just don't have the funds for it, because there are a lot of people in the community that want to stream, want to become content creators, but they just don't have the appropriate resources to make it happen.
Yeah.
But it's even with GeForce Now, like I was saying to you last night, lad, you have full stream functionality with it. So if you're a console player, you could set up GeForce Now, stream it to Twitch, have a PC stream ran through your console. Just like think about that for a second. Full Twitch, a full Twitch stream, and it's like Inception. You're Twitch streaming PC for an Xbox.
I love technology. I
Oh, yeah.
love it. It's absolutely fantastic. It's
Anyone in the
really,
chat
really
right now who does have a Xbox or PlayStation or any type of console, and they want to try out DayZ PC, I would totally, absolutely, wholeheartedly encourage you to try out GeForce Now. It's not all paid options. You've got free ones, but they are limited game sessions, so you may have to wait in a queue of other people to get into a PC. And the game sessions are limited to, I think, about 5 hours, which is still a lot of time if you're just wanting to get a quick game session going. 5
Yes.
hours is ample amount for a lot of people to get a good run in. And it has Steam Cloud integration, so your progress will all be synced with these games. So if you're playing story games, your campaign will actually be saved when you're playing them. So I
That's
would
brilliant.
totally recommend
That's
it for people
brilliant,
if they
yeah.
want to get into it, because you can play these games at 60, 120 FPS depending on what subscription you have, through a mobile phone, even like we saw on our last episode. It doesn't need to be an Xbox. It could be a crappy computer. It could be your mom's. It could be your mom's phone. It could be your smart fridge. For God's sakes, like.
Oh hell yes! I'm gonna be cooking something in the oven. I'm just gonna be playing DayZ on my Samsung smart fridge. Let's fucking go, mate. Oh yes.
Just it shows you how far technology's evolved, because going back a few years, like even like 2010, I didn't think something like this would be possible now, you know?
Not a chance. Not something to this extent, at least. Obviously, like, technology was there, but it's absolutely.
There will
mad.
be a
And,
point where where you won't need to have anything physical, and I mean, depending on who you are and how you've been raised and stuff, you may have different biases towards that. Because I know some people may not be the most supportive of having that kind of stuff, or like having everything physical or digital and stuff like that. Because I know even for Xbox, when they did the whole cloud gaming and Game Pass, a lot of people were mad because they had games they wanted to keep it physical, and they don't want them to switch to all this cloud gaming stuff. But it's interesting to see nonetheless. It's really interesting to see nonetheless, because we could get to a point where you just buy a screen, like with what LG's doing.
yes,
That's everything. That's your one and done media player. Your PC gaming, your streaming, your entertainment, all done through that one thing.
yes,
That's it.
definitely.
That'll be the end thing, and it'll be fun to see how that happens for sure.
Oh god, yes, absolutely.
Definitely.
But for now, that is all the topics, I believe, unless one of you two can correct me if I am mistaken. That's all the topics for this
Forward.
week.
Well, what about the leftover mod?
Oh no, well, we're gonna get to that. Don't worry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's right, bitch. No, I'm joking.
Oh, bitch, huh?
No,
I know I'm beautiful, intelligent, total cruel hottie.
hell yes. No, but it's been absolutely fantastic so far. Dump, I want to hear about your spotlights. What's something that's you want to talk about and showcase?
Well, showcase. Actually, you know what? I have been impressed with Project Lemons, to be honest, with all of his creativity and the things that he overcomes. You know me, I'm a big fan of the people who can break through brick walls. So, cool things about him being able to put spark plugs and radiators and batteries and car racks. Some of the more intelligent things he's talked about, like instead of having to have a specific asset, he's like, I'm gonna use hunting stance to make my own wooden bridge, you know, stuff like that. All of this is very ingenious, and I would tell any console owners who are like listening to this podcast, take a page from his book, Don Sibley's Scale Speeders, whoever you want. their ingenuity in working with the tools that they have, although very, very limited, is inspirational for what you can do with your own servers.
Baby.
Absolutely. and what about yourself, Project Lemons? What you got?
The one thing we've been talking about the past few days is the Forage, which is the new event that we have coming in place for Project Lemons, and it's
Yes.
to celebrate our new 1.24 update coming to Zagoria. So we have talked a bit about this on Twitter, and I will be posting more about it soon. But with the new 1.24 update, we actually added in the feature from the old school pre 0.60 days of PC where you could forage for berries. So now it's a small thing. It's not
Yeah.
substantial, but now when you go into forests and it's the proper bushes as well, it's not just random ones.
Yeah.
You go to the bushes, you will find rosebuds and you'll find elderberries, and we've even added in tangerine trees. It's another
Right.
option as well. So Forge is just it's an event to bring light and celebrate the new update to show some of the cool stuff that's being added in, because for a lot of people on console, these wild berries are completely new because it's never been done on console before. It's only been something that's been seen on PC strictly. So to have this on console is going to be an amazing thing, because it'll show what's for the future, what we have planned for the future, and the stuff that we want to do. Because I'm not trying to spoil too much about our future roadmap, but we do want to focus on stuff with our civilian stuff and like mirroring what the DayZ development team is doing as well. So Zagoria is going to have a lot more civilian and resistance type stuff added in as well. So I'd say to keep down your radar.
Oh hell yes!
Keep on. What's up?
I was gonna say, once you got like more stuff to show off, absolutely do show it off in the podcast. I would absolutely love to see what Zagoria
for sure
has got going for it.
Yeah, so for anybody that's interested, just to wrap it up real quick, for anybody that's interested in checking out the Forge, there's going to be more information on the Twitter, but I'd also say check out our website. I'm going to put it in the chat, but it's going to be at plrealism.com. That will have all of your information regarding the event. The winner of the event will actually be getting some DayZ merch as well sent to them in person. So I'd say keep your eyes on that, because we will be broadcasting the event live.
Hell yes. And for myself, I do want to showcase a mod that caught my attention, and it's a little small mod. It's a simple mod, and I absolutely I've used it already on a server, and it is something that, like I said, it's small, but it's a nice little extra bit of detail. The Zen Leftovers mod. Basically what this does is that when you eat food from a can or tin, or if you use any medical items like your morphine, your epinephrine, or your pox, your saline, stuff like that, once you've used it, it leaves a version of it behind which shows it being empty. So it's kind of how would you say, it's like player tracking. So and it'll automatically drop to the floor, and you can pick it up after yourself. And the mod's getting updated regularly, as far as I'm aware. It's nothing too fancy, as you can see here. It's intended for the hardcore roleplay servers, which, hardcore I am a fan of, and roleplay servers I have a guilty pleasure, but not lately, thank God. But if you don't want to be tracked, you clean up after yourself. It's that simple, and that's what you do. That's it. You don't want to be tracked. You look after your things, clean up after yourself. Don't pollute Chinaris. It's rude. It's wrong. It's disgusting. Stop it.
Out of curiosity with that mod, I haven't had the chance to play with it personally, but does it work like a grenade where after it's been used, it'll spawn it will have a ruined version of itself and it will despawn eventually? Or is it just a clutter object that will just be there until it hits its nominal time, or not the nominal timer, but whatever the timer was set in the types file? Because there could be a few ways they did it. I'm interested to know which one, if you have experience with it.
So in my experience, objects can stay around for a long time. The way that it works is that, say, you have a can of beans. You eat your beans completely. You drop the can, it'll replace the bean texture with a blank texture, so it looks empty, right? You know, it's limited with what you can do in that part without having to create a completely brand new model. And it just stays there. It stays there until it's either picked up, but I think they'll eventually despawn. But you can configure it, and you can repack the mod. The person has given permission if you wish to repack the mod. You just have to give credit. Well, sorry, you don't have to give credit, but it's probably a good idea too.
You should.
You should. You absolutely should. And you can get the source code for the mod in his GitHub as well. So if you really want to configure it, you can go for it.
I can actually say one cool thing about this mod. I'm not sure if Lad experienced this yet, but if you scroll down a little bit, it says that honey jars and the jam jars can hold 25% of what water bottles can. So when you eat those, you can fill those up with water, like we always talk about doing with empty cans.
It's great. It's absolutely. It's like
interesting.
little,
so you can actually use them as you can actually use them to hold stuff.
Yeah, well, hold water, but it's a nice little details like that. You gotta love the ingenuity from people in the community. It's really cool. It's really, really cool. And I want to give out a couple, one main shout out before we finish is Mass has launched his own server with the help from Spearhead, which is a milsim community. From the help of a few different people, Mass has decided to come back into the modding community. He's been getting help from a lot of people in the community to help update his mod, and he's launched his own server for Spearhead, and the population is doing really, really good. All things considered, it's doing really, really nice, and it's actually the server that I've used, that Zen Leftovers mod, and I would recommend people go in, try it out, give it a shot, see how it goes, and share the love, because as we'll all know, Mass did leave the community for a while, and it was very hard to see. You know, it's not nice to see some OG people leaving the community, but he's come back with a vengeance. He's like he's making some good shit. So check it out, go for it, Spearhead, and leave him some feedback. Speaking about feedback, no, but it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on. I really, really do appreciate it. Dump, thank you so much for filling in for Archie. I really, really do appreciate all the help, and you've been absolutely lovely talking to and with all the topics. It's been really, really cool. And Project Lemons, thank you very much for coming along, mate, as well. I really do appreciate it, and couldn't do this without you guys. I really, really do appreciate it. And I am I feel much better now. The nerves are gone. But thank you very much for coming along to the podcast, guys. I really do appreciate it. Much love to the both of you, and I'll catch you guys next weekend.
Adios.
Take care of yourselves, lads. Much love to you. And that's it, guys. That's that was nerve-wracking. It's been absolutely lovely having everybody on, coming along. I really, really do appreciate it. I keep saying that. I was very, very nervous coming on, taking over for Boydie. He's, absolute massive inspiration for the community, massive inspiration for me. And without everything that he's contributed for the past few years, this wouldn't have been possible. And I do hope that you guys keep me on the line. If I make any mistakes, I want you to. I would love for you guys to keep me in check. If you have any feedback about the podcast, please do let me know in the main chat in the Discord. I'm always open for criticisms, any feedback, everything like that. I would love for you to talk to me about it. And again, thank you so much for coming along and listening. We will be back same time next weekend. same time next Friday, I should say. And we'll have more topics to talk about. Hopefully we'll have a guest on, but we will keep you guys updated. I'm going to try and see if we can get the Twitch and YouTube multi-stream working. If not, YouTube may be the main place. But if you guys feel like, Twitch is much better, again, feedback in the Discord. That'll be absolutely lovely. I don't know how to raid anybody on YouTube, if that's even possible, so unfortunately we can't do that. But again, thank you so much everybody for coming along. Much love to you all, and I hope you have an absolutely fantastic weekend. Take care of yourselves. Much love to you. Take care.